Okay, so we hit that stream button. Let's see how well this works. Receiving your content. Your audience will see it live. Blah, blah, blah. You are live. Am I live? I don't know if I am. It would appear that I am. So let's just move this here. Will that work? Let's hope so. Here we go. So I am doing this live, just, because, and I wear my presentation suit. I'm a history and education major. I'm trying to become a history teacher. So really that's what I'm working for. And I need to get used to public speaking more often. Also, I don't have a lot of time to edit videos. So I'm just going to go into this. So, without any further ado, hey, what's up everybody? primusprime22 here, bringing you a stream. It's been quite a while since I've streamed, but hey, here we are. Let's see. If you're new to the stream, I might tell you to just go back to get the premise of this all. So welcome if you rewind back. Welcome to people who are watching it, which isn't live. So, looks like we already got some people here. Hey, you have a face. I do have a face. It's been on videos before. I'm doing this in the dark because I like the dark. But yeah, so what I'm going to be talking about today is prime theory. I'm a history and education major. I learn a lot about history and, more importantly, how to study history. And I use that a lot to... Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm going to address the chat later on. There'll be question times. But yeah, this is how I do Transformers lore. This is how I do the Oracle 2. Sort of... What's the word? Historiography. And we're going to be talking about what that is. So let's just get into this. What we are trying to do... There we go. Goals. The goals, and I have my little education Primus Prime over there, but goals. We're going to be understanding historiography, and we're going to be understanding how to apply that to Transformers. And I know it seems sort of silly how I go all out with Transformers and everything related to it, but that's just sort of how I enjoy it. That's how I enjoy things. I like to research, and that's sort of why I'm trying to become a history teacher. They sort of go together. It's how my personality works. But yeah, this is just how I enjoy it. Yeah, so we're going to understand how to apply historiography in fiction, and we're going to talk about prime theory, which is sort of, and it's not theory in the sense of game theory. This is theory in the sense of a way of thinking, a methodology sort of type deal. It's not to prove some wonky thing in fiction, not that sort of theory. The theory of thinking. But yeah, theory of thinking. I'm not used to streaming. I used to, but yeah. The chat got a little bit too cancery back in the day. My Wi-Fi was not strong. In fact, let me check how the stream is. The stream might go down sometimes. Don't be the type of people who freak out and go, haha, stream's over, guys. No. It will usually come back up in a bit. But yeah, if the stream goes down and I just decide, nah, this isn't going to work, I'll just tweet out, hey guys, it's not going to work. But yeah, so let's get into this. First, we need to understand what historiography is outside of fiction. It's really the study of history, or the study of history, which is the study of the past. If you go back in time and see how people have studied history, you'll see that they've studied it sort of differently. How we study history now is a lot more, I want to say globalized. While history, say, the earliest historian we really know, that I know, is Herodotus. And Herodotus looked at stuff from a little bit of a religious perspective. He's sort of considered the first historian, because he went and actually, for the Persian Wars, he talked to different sources, and we're going to get to sourcing. But previously, history was like legends and like myths that were written down, usually to like invoke nationalism or something like that. But Herodotus really developed this methodology of going to like both Persians and Greeks, asking them about their experiences, their experiences in the war, stuff like that. Herodotus really was the founding of this theory. But later on, historiography, like, for instance, in the United States, during sort of World War II, we had this historiography. We looked at history as a way to unite people. The American Revolution is a good example of this. In the past, the American Revolution was taught as a... basically, all the Americans in the colonies wanted to rise up, rebel, wanted to kick Britain out. But in modern historiography, we look more at the different people. We don't look at leading figures. We look at the general populace. And that usually comes up with evidence suggesting that about 1/3 of the colonists in America really wanted that. Another third were indifferent, and another third were loyalists. So in modern historiography, we look at things more globalized at various different perspectives. It really does... I lost my train of thought. Just a lot more wide-sweeping, a lot more... less generalization, I think. But that's, it's how historians choose to research and understand the past, essentially. So, an example of there are different philosophies with historiography. It's how you yourself study history. So, looking at the chat for a second. You have different ideas about history. Each historian has their different idea. It's their philosophy, really. And a good example of how to see different historiographical philosophies, there we go, is Britain in World War II. Here we have two pictures. Here we have Winston Churchill, and here we have some women in a shelter in somewhere, I don't remember, during the Battle of Britain, when Britain faced a lot of bombing from Germany. There's a theory that history should be looked at through what's called big man history. And no, that's not the history of fat people. That's a little never mind. So, a big man history, or a big hero history, or whatever that could be, individual history, is looking at history through individuals. Winston Churchill was a very influential leadership figure in Great Britain, in the United Kingdom, during World War II, and a lot of historians who have a big man history ideology would look at the history of World War II in Britain from perspectives of things like Churchill or Montgomery. In a more, what's sort of called a social history, a history of more of the people, it would say that history, the agent of history, the thing that drives history is the people. And so they look at the cultural and social effects of like the Battle of Britain and what that had on the British economy and how that affected British society at the time. That's one of the London Underground station. It was during the Blitz and the Battle of Britain, right? So, that's two different ideologies. You'll notice that everything is political. And right-wing historiography tends to focus more on the individual, more on a bit of uniting people. Left-wing history is a lot more of the people, a lot more of the social movements. On right-wing history, you'll get big man history. You'll get a lot of military history. You'll get a lot of things that bring people together. Left-wing history, you'll generally get more social histories like feminist histories, cultural histories like the civil rights movement, stuff like that. Personally, I consider my ideology a realist philosophy, which is really looking at everything. A lot of historians criticize that ideology as having no... Realist historians don't believe that there's an agent in history, a thing that drives history. We sort of think of it as like a sandbox that you'll have elements come in, but there's not one thing that drives it. It can be individuals at times, it can be people at times, it could be anything. It's also criticized. Left-wing historians like to criticize it for being too right-wing, and right-wing historians like to criticize it for being left-wing. So it might be a little bit centrist. But yeah, that's what I do. I'm a realist historian. But all histories, all historiographical ideologies, all agree pretty much on one thing, and that is the value of primary sources. In order to get to the heart of history, you really have to look at primary sources. Photographs, diaries, memoirs, anything from the subject that you're studying. What you do is you take all these primary sources and you corroborate them with other sources, and hopefully you can find where the truth is. It's where you're trying to find out what really happened. And a good example of primary sources are these. Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf, which was his book he wrote during his imprisonment just before he became leader of Germany, and the Diary of Anne Frank. Now, here's the important things. And Anne Frank was a Dutch Jewish girl in Germany who I believe eventually died in the Holocaust. Now, or died... I don't know if it was the Holocaust. I've never read the Diary of Anne Frank. But now, to be clear, I've never read Mein Kampf either. I read pieces of both of them. I picked these two sources because it shows an important thing, and the important thing is called sourcing, where even though a primary source is the key thing to studying history, it's the building block, you have to know who wrote the source and their context. For instance, how Hitler would portray Judaism in Germany would be very different for how Miss Frank would show it. You really have to figure out who are they, what's their gender, what's their ethnicity, what are their allegiances, what is their purpose for writing, a lot of times like propaganda sources. You need to find the bias, you need to cut out the bias, and you need to just corroborate the sources to find the truth. Now, how do we apply this to Transformers? A lot of stuff, with applying this to Transformers, you don't have to do this much, because usually the primary sources in looking at Transformers stuff is looking at the actual comics, looking at the shows, stuff like that. That's why I don't recommend doing research, based through TF Wiki and other stuff like that. I recommend going into the sources itself. Okay, applications of historiography and Transformers fiction. So there have been two theoretical ways to sort of apply historiography to Transformers. The first one was James McDonough's, is that how you say his name? I don't know. Transformerology. McDonough, if that's his name, was a creative director at Dreamwave, who held the license for Transformers at the time. Thank you, guys. So, he was the creative director for Transformers at the time. And he was put in charge of creating Transformers More Than Meets the Eye. Not to be confused with the IDW series. This Dreamwave series was a profile series. It did a bunch of profile books on the characters, and he went through a lot of Transformers stuff to find information to pick and choose and put into the characters for the Dreamwave universe. And he basically said that you pretty much have to have a degree in Transformerology to put it together. And he said he had to look through all these different sources, all these different, cartoons, comics. He didn't look at, the huge a huge array of stuff. But he looked at a lot, and he said, he sort of jokingly called it Transformerology, that there should be like a bachelor's degree in that. But it was 2004, and I think that's it. So, Transformerology has sort of become a term used to refer to the study of the fiction of the Transformers franchise. And this was really the first sort of movement beyond looking at the toys. A lot of the Transformers fandom's just toys. Just go onto R Transformers or Sabertron or TFW 2005 or Allspark, anything. You're going to find a large, disproportionate thing for toys. And I want to make something clear. That's not a bad thing. Fans can enjoy it how they want to enjoy it. Toys, it's what founded the franchise. It's what's keeping the franchise alive. And personally, I do think Transformers toys are some of the better toys out there on the market. But I, for one, I know I have all the Transformer toys back there. I have a general sizable collection. But I'm not really one for the toys. A lot of those toys are from my childhood. Not much of them are new. So, with Transformerology, I always want to put the S in there. With Transformerology, they were talking about, looking at the fiction. And there's not much people that do that. Think about the Transformers YouTubers. Piog, Optibotimus, Emgo, it's all toys. Really, you only got like Diamond Bolt and Eddie Dwan and stuff like that doing non-toy stuff. But But yeah, I was looking at the plots, understanding previous continuity, and the key thing you need to get out of Transformology is that it's about continuity, it's about the fiction. Now, in 2016, Hayato Sakamoto came out at BotCon 2016 and talked about transform mathematics. With transform mathematics, he had this new ideology about how continuity could be held. And he basically, he's a writer, he's an artist, he's done a lot of Transformers stuff. He's doing the Transformers Legends manga. He did the Unite Warriors manga. And basically, Transform Mathematics came out of while he was doing a series called Transformers Unite Warriors Offshot, which was like a series of little cards from the Unite Warriors, which is, in America, in the West, they're called Combiner Wars, that toy line. But those had blurbs called Unite Warriors Offshot that had their own plot that took place in Primax 785.06 Alpha, or the Japanese G1 cartoon universe. And he did a lot of research for that. And I love Hayato Sakamoto. He does a lot of continuity research. So, Transform Mathematics. Essentially, if Transformology is asking what is continuity, going back and looking at the continuity, Transform Mathematics is looking at the whys and hows. You want to look at all the sort of plot holes and see, okay, how can we fix that? You want to sort of do a lot of world building with Transform Mathematics. And really, with Offshot, he sort of looked at different points in Transformers continuity, or specifically the Japanese universe. And he did these little series of cards to fit everything more tightly together. Yeah. So, yeah, it seeks to ensure that there is an interconnectedness of fiction, more complex and entertaining meta. No longer are these just glorified commercials. Now we need to put together a plot. We need to make the stuff that seemed like some weird 80s stuff actually tie into stuff in the modern age to make more sense. It was actually multiversal in Extra Cybertronian, which means they recognized that Transformers as a franchise does not exist in a vacuum. It shared universes with G.I. Joe and stuff like that, and it sort of brought stuff together. Wow, I'm really not used to streaming. But yeah, essentially for Transform Mathematics, it's about strengthening the continuity. For example, there were two different character designs, character models for Rodimus Prime from what we call Season 3 of Generation 1 and Transformers Headmasters. However, there was also an alteration with the Matrix, in which pretty much after the return of Optimus Prime, the Matrix was emptied out. At the end of the sort of first arc of Headmasters, Alpha Trion sort of recharges it, and it sort of gives Rodimus a different character design. And that's more of like an animation error, but Sakamoto managed to theorize that it was a sort of different Matrix, so it could have that effect. Offshot Warriors, Unite Warriors Offshot is full of stuff that puts continuity together, even though most of it is just Transformers just chilling while it's like peacetime. Well, not really peacetime, but they're not in a war zone. Alright. So Prime Theory. This is where I get to Prime Theory, the third philosophy of applying historiography to Transformers, or fiction in general, really. Prime Theory is to promote learning more about the lore of the multiverse, and it sort of ties into both Transform Mathematics and Transformerology. To promote a higher understanding of multiverse-related fiction that can rival the study of fiction of other fandoms like Star Wars, Star Trek, or the Elder Scrolls. See, if you just go, there's a subreddit called Elder Scrolls Lore, and even there's a subreddit for Star Wars. If you look at those and compare that to the Reddit for Transformers, you're going to see a little difference in how they treat the fiction, how they treat the lore. They do a lot of research. They really care about being as correct as possible, about finding out as much as they can about this universe they love. Our Transformers are just find a bunch of toys, but that's fine. I'm not trying to diss on that. It's not how I enjoy it, but I understand why other people would enjoy it. You know, not trying to diss on that. Do what you love, man. So yeah. What else was I gonna say? Elder Scrolls really impresses me with how they apply historiography. I've been looking at stuff how Elder Scrolls fans treat the lore, and it reminds me a lot about the stuff I learned in my historiography class. To understand how to use authorial intent and other elements to fill plot holes that need filling, and when not to use authorial intent. This is important because it sort of borrows from transform mathematics, in which we sort of bring together what could be. We're going to be talking about Occam's razor in a bit. Yeah, we'll get to that later. But it's about contextualization and, understanding that plot holes can be filled if you look hard enough. It's not all of them, though. But understanding that there's a deeper way to look at Transformers. You'll see a lot of people just joke about the Frenzy and Rumble thing, but seriously they consider that there's no real thing over what Frenzy and Rumble is. It's just a toss-up, when really it sort of matters by universe. That was a poor example. We'll get through applications of prime theory. In fact, I think that's the next slide. Yep, applications of prime theory. I made this slideshow like 2 days ago. Notation collapse theory. These are very specific uses of prime theory. So now we're getting to the nitty-gritty. So notation collapse theory. You guys should know by now that there are all these different notations for different universes. But notation collapse theory, as part of prime theory, is the idea that continuity supersedes given universal notation. Specifically, continuity matters more than what notation. Theoretically, under prime theory, there could be multiple notations for one continuity, because I talk about this a lot in my universe versus continuity video. But basically, notation isn't strictly a universe. The best example is this. Here's, in Beast Wars 2nd, Beast Wars 2nd has its own notation. It's Primex blah 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 alpha. I don't remember that off the top of my head. But the Beast Wars 2nd movie, ask yourself, would you consider the Beast Wars 2nd movie to take place in the same continuity as Beast Wars 2nd if you watch them? Because if you have watched them, I think you go, yeah, they're in the same continuity. There are 2 different notations for them. So that really shows that universal notation doesn't exactly exclude stuff together. They can be in the same thing. And this is, I'm not even talking about the part that both of these already fall into the Japanese Primex 785.06 alpha, the whole Japanese G1 cartoon continuity. So yeah, and I talk more about this in my universe versus continuity video, so go check that out. Now there's the x equals 2 approach, which is essentially Occam's razor. I hope I'm pronouncing Occam's right, but who knows. In fiction, a fact may not be stated outright, but instead implied. An analogy to this is the algebra problem of 2 times x equals 4. The implication is that x equals 2. In prime theory, it will... I copied and pasted this from the Oracle 2's policies thing, and I just replaced Oracle 2 with prime theory. As you can see, because there's Oracle 2 right here. So, but basically... It's basically Occam's razor, a long way of saying Occam's razor, that if there's a way to fill in a hole, then the simplest way to fill the hole is likely how it would be treated. In historiography, we can have different explanations for different historical events, or historical oddities. I can't really think of one now, but you've heard it, I'm sure, that originally historians thought that the famine of Romania started because of irrigation. I don't know, I'm making stuff up right now. But in 1956, new historians have discovered that blah blah blah. That sort of comes into prime theory in the way that we can, if something is implied, or that really it isn't directly stated, but it's sort of the only way things can link up, prime theory will treat that as if that's how it is. The TF Wiki does not do this. And if it is later proven wrong by a more outright source, then that will be retroactively applied. Sort of historians learning new things because of new evidence made available. Now, see, 2 times x equals 4, yeah, sure, you could say that it equals 2. But what if instead of x equals 2, x equals negative 1 times negative 2? It could be a longer, more contrived way. Occam's razor, an example of Occam's razor is, if 2 trees fall, which is more likely, that the trees got cut down, or that 2 meteors came from space and hit the 2 trees at the exact same time and caused them both to fall over, while the meteors both disappeared immediately afterwards? You're going to assume that it wasn't the meteors, but it could be if new evidence reveals itself. So sort of that type deal. This is probably the most extreme case of the x equals 2 segment of prime theory, but it isn't really too extreme. It's just something that a lot of fans haven't thought about because, again, a lot of fans don't look into Transformers as much as I do, or other transformologists or transform mathematicians. But the Colin Murdoch clause, I also call it the Scorponok Scars clause. So let's talk about this. In Transformers Armada, Thrust was killed on Unicron during Unicron's attack on Cybertron. What we know of Unicron's history is the last appearance before Energon, or before the attack on Planet Q, rather, happened in the attack on Cybertron, where Thrust died. Later on in Scorponok's Scars, well, let's talk about the Battle of Planet Q. Unicron attacked Planet Q after his defeat from Cybertron. Planet Q was ruled by Alpha Q and his lieutenant Scorponok, and they sort of got wiped out by Unicron. Alpha Q stayed in Unicron after Unicron blew up because I think Scorponok blew up Planet Q, yeah. And Alpha Q ended up stuck in Unicron. But later on in 2020, Alpha Q started to raise an army of Terracons and revived Scorponok to attack Earth to get Energon to get the planets. Now, Scorponok Scars, we had to ask where did Scorponok come from? And it's easy to say, well, it's just Unicron, who's the brother of Primus. You can create anything from him. But in Scorponok Scars, Alpha Q reveals that the current Scorponok was built with the personality and memories and design of the old Scorponok, but with the spark of a wandering Decepticon spark in Unicron. The only one who died in Unicron, besides Sideways, who was later revealed to be rebuilt after Cybertron. Or after, when was he rebuilt? Ask Vector Prime said that he was rebuilt when he blew up? When did Sideways get rebuilt? Oh, when Unicron died. Okay. But Sideways is an own anomaly oddity on himself. Thrust was the only standard Decepticon spark there. It's not hard to put 2 and 2 together and say, hey, there was only one spark that we know of that was there. I'd say under this, it's pretty obvious that Thrust is Scorponok, the second Scorponok. Now, they're also voiced by Colin Murdoch, but I do not believe that is a case of evidence. Lots of characters are voiced by the same voice actors. It's just called that just because it's a similarity, but I do not believe that the voice actor connects them to. Now, if anything in the future rejects this, then yeah, that's a more outright thing than an implication. But until then, and let's face it, when's the next time they're going to update the lore of the Unicron trilogy? I believe that Thrust is Scorponok, and that's an example of that's the most out there example of the x equals 2 approach. Now let's talk about authorial intent. And this is important. Authorial intent is not taken into account in prime theory solely based on the fact that it is authorial intent. Authorial intent is what the writers or creators or whatever intended to be in a show, cartoon, whatever, comic, but they never actually explicitly put it in there. Never actually said it. Usually this is because it got canceled or whatever. And usually authorial intent doesn't matter. Usually it's combed over and a new thing is set up by a new writer. However, sometimes there are plot holes that the author intended to get to eventually, but was canceled before they could get a chance to do it. So, authorial intent is only taken into account in prime theory when it is needed to strengthen or fix continuity, and it does not directly contradict anything from another source of information outside of authorial intent. Even if the authorial intent meets these two conditions, prime theory will not take it into account if other sources of information released in the future contradicts it. This is sort of the same thing as when historians have information that suggests one thing, but eventually they might find new information that contradicts it and go with that new theory. This is sort of that applied, that piece of historiography applied to the study of Transformers fiction. So, is there more to this? is the combination of transformology, transform mathematics, and a touch of Occam's razor, all into a fiction-applied historiographic school of thought. Basically, we want to study the past, analyze the present, and be ready for the future. It's sort of this all-inclusive way to apply historiography to Transformers that's more solid than just a joke or like transformology or just an individual's work style as Sakamoto's transform mathematics. Prime theory is how I do research, how I apply historical research and what I've learned in college to be a history teacher, and how I've applied that to my hobby, Transformers, that I love. So there we go. So yeah, that's prime theory. Now is when we get into the questions. So I'm going to take a look at the chat, see what you guys have been up to. Oh boy, this is the largest stream I've had. Hey, Cat said, hey, you have a face, yep. What up, new sub, hi, hey, sup, TF Wiki much, this guy's a walking TF Wiki. I have my hang-ups about TF Wiki. TF Wiki does not have much, well, I wouldn't say that. TF Wiki is a lot of people. How does he research everything? Hey everyone, this is like, how do I research everything? Primary sources. Hey everyone, this is like Historyception. Please tell me he talks about Weird Wolf. Hey Flame Lord, the same with TF. Oh yeah. Original sources. True, this guy multiplication. Hey man. Blah, blah, blah. Just scrolling through until I see the. Thank you guys for all the love. It really means a lot. My school don't. I guess that's the historiography part. I'll scroll down. Okay. Wish there was a way to see what time these are posted. Most important event in Transformers universe is the day Devastator got balls. Alright. How long before Devastator and Victorian fanfiction? Hey, this is pretty cool to be honest. Thanks. Oh, wow. Question, are you copying Thoughty 2? I like his sense of style, though. Let's be a... I would like to... You guys can just type questions. It is a chat. It's not like a formal lecture hall. How far back is my chat, by the way? I mean, how lagging is the stream? Lagging in the sense of the time between when I say something and it actually happens. No questions? Will we get IDW G1 Part 4? Yes, I just don't know when. Not much time. Or if you're in my Discord server, you can ask anything there. I'm thinking of a question. Okay. Alright, any questions? Okay. Oh boy. 20-second lag time. Okay, here we go. I got a question. Which combiner is your least favorite? See, there are a lot of combiners I just don't even care about. What's the combined form of the build team in Robots in Disguise? I don't even remember their name. Or the combiner's name. So that one. Well, I do have to wonder what other forces are present in the multiverse that might act out like how Primus and Unicron. It's not a complete sentence, but as in other multiversal singularities, well, you have the Covenant, and this is before multiversal singularities were removed after the Shroud happened. But you had the 13, You had those who came before. The Elder Gods are always going to be a multiversal singularity because they're outside the multiverse. Well, they're within the multiverse, but outside the universes of the multiverse. There's Gaia. There's Atlas. Question, you may have answered this, but who created the universal notation? It's super cool and interesting. If you're asking, it first appeared in a text story. I can't remember which, but it was created by, I think M. Cypher, one of the dudes who does the TF Wiki. But he with a lot of people who write the TF Wiki got to write stuff for the Collectors Club, which basically made what they wrote canon. And a lot of the metafiction we get is from the Collectors Club information. Will their theory about the Chaos Trinity? What's the Chaos Trinity? Are you hyped for the new Transformers movie? Yep. So what continuity would the Star Wars and Marvel Transformers fit in? The Star Wars Transformers is in Lucas something something beta. It's in the Lucas cluster. And Marvel, I think, is in Jocus. The Jocus cluster. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head. Don't forget, anyone can join the primusprime22's Discord. Thank you, Lays. They're just called the Build Team. Okay. Question, can a fully combined Transformer combine with another fully combined Transformer? Well, depending on how you define combine, because the Combiner Wars cartoon showed us Starscream doing his little thing with Devastator, Victorion, Menasor, and Computron, if you want to call that combine. Scoop couldn't think of a non-copyrightable team name. I would like to see if there are ways to travel throughout the multiverse now that things have been changed. Since the Shroud, it's really been hard to. That is until More Than Meets the Eye just casually said, oh, here's a geo-bomb that sends us to another universe, apparently. Now the rules of the multiverse is, it's very difficult and almost impossible to travel through the multiverse until, unless a writer feels like doing it. Unless it's James Roberts, who just goes, let's just go with it. Let's just accidentally find ourselves in another universe. I don't know if the sarcophagi would still work that the 13 have, since they're not really multiversal singular anymore. I don't even know where those are, if they still have their purpose. But yeah, it's definitely more difficult now. But the 13 primes, do they all originate in the same universe? The 13 primes are interesting because for a time there were 13, then there were 2 sets of 13, and then there were 16 members of the 13, and now, arguably, the 13 don't exist how they used to. There's an infinite number of 13s. The original ones from the original multiverse likely came from Prime X9 4.0 Gamma, the Marvel US universe. But that hasn't been explicitly stated. It's where we get first word of Prima, so may as well be. And then they later unify with the Union 911.05 Alpha, I think it is. Oh, hey, Diamond Bolt. This is better than school. The Thirst Scorponok thing is really interesting. Has there been any other references to this, or simply based on authorial intent? It's not necessarily based on authorial... This is less authorial intent and more of an implication that people don't look into. It seems pretty... I want to say obvious, although it doesn't feel obvious because not a lot of people talk about it. The TF Wiki points it out, but then they say, well, that's implying that we think the Energon writers are competent enough. And I'm like, you cannot like a show. A show can be poorly written, but sometimes happy accidents happen. Wasn't there a story about where a Decepticon turned other bots inside out? Define inside out. Oh my Galvatron Diamond Bolt. Oh, here we go. Now it's the Diamond Bolt stream. Why is it that some people, when talking about G1, they bring up RC, they call her the first female Autobot when Elita 1 and the other females first appeared in Search for Alpha Trion? Because RC showed up in the movie. Really. Yeah. Well, I think more people have seen the movie than the amount of people who have seen the whole series from start to finish. But academia, if you want to call it that, the intellectuals, if you want to call them that, it is a piece of fiction, would believe that, the ones in Search for Alpha Trion are the first. We have summoned him with our... Okay. If the DJD combined, what would the combined form look like? Like a combined form of the DJD. So in the TF movies, there are 13 primes. In TF2, they died. This does not make sense that they died. Would the line of primes have died too, or are they different primes? And prime theory really works a lot with early Transformers stuff, but you have to remember that the primes in the movies are the same primes in the rest of the multiverse at that time. A lot of what we know of the Primes there is from a flashback from Jetfire, who was already pretty insane. But the comics really give us the best source for the 13 Primes. Basically, it appears that after budding, the battle on Earth of Tyran 707.23 Delta? I always can't remember the last two numbers. But it appears that after they budded, they went to... went to Earth in that universe and fought. It seems pretty obvious that... It is obvious that the 13 don't die in the traditional sense. When they die in their corporeal form, they either go to the realm of the Primes, or they just pop up somewhere else. We saw that in the most recent Shattered Glass text story, because that's when the Fallen came in after Revenge of the Fallen. His last thing he remembered was dying. But yeah, it appears that at different points the 13 popped up over and over again, because you can't keep a 13 down. What did the line of Primes do? I believe that budding took place before the battle on Earth, and it appears that Optimus and Sentinel were created through the Allspark. I'm unsure how you can be a descendant through the Allspark. I talk more about this in the early Transformers lore videos, which I'm still working on the important one, the like hour-long Transformers lore thing that covers the entire beginning. I realize the camera's there. I should stop looking there, right? Right. But the whole hour-long Transformers lore video that's going to cover everything from the beginning until where the 13 fall. That's going to explain things clearer. But, yeah. But the first three Transformers lore videos really cover that well. Although, watch the correction episodes after it, because I do mess up a little. Are the IDW movie comics canon? Everything is canon to at least some universe. That's one of the important things. Yeah. Or is Bay being Bay again? Right. Bro, baby, I got explosions. Do you play the Transformer DS games? I do not. I need to. Okay. More explosions, private speeches, jazz. Look out, combined explosion. Racist comments. Even more explosions. Got 50. What is going on right now? Are the Titan movie comics canon? Canon to some universe. They're not canon to the main Tyran 707.0.25 Delta, but they're canon to their own universe. And then the whole branching universe where Mission City was a Decepticon victory is its own separate universe. Some comics. What do you hate the most about the Bay films? A lot of the humor really falls flat for me. I think a lot of the humor is too juvenile. Michael Bay doesn't follow you. Oh, okay. Sunder. Okay. Which version of Soundwave and Shockwave is the scariest in your opinion? Okay. Of the sound waves, just off the top of my head, I think Tyran 707.25 Delta sound wave is pretty scary, just because he has the weird tentacles. And as for Shockwave, it might even be the same universe, since he appears to be a lot less logical and a lot more kill. Does TF Cybertron show Primus count as the real Primus or another clone? That's the multiversal singular Primus, yeah. What is your opinion of IDW Optimus Prime's comics? Personally, I think it's a little too angsty. Yes, it is a little too angsty. And I'm finding it hard to find characters that I like in that comic. Because everyone in that comic is divided into two camps. Those who treat Optimus Prime like a god, and those who think Optimus Prime is the newest Hitler. And I'm like, you can chill, right? You don't have to hate his guts or love him blindly. Even Optimus Prime is sort of hating himself. And I'm like, dude, you should know you. But yeah, it's a little too much. I do like the inclusion of G.I. Joe. My favorite characters in that comic so far is Thundercracker, the Fairborns, Chameleon, who I've loved Chameleon since... Chameleon's my favorite character in the IDW G.I. Joe comics. Mainframe, he's my other favorite character of the IDW Joe comics. But yeah, Cosmos is pretty good, Soundwave is pretty good. But when most of your favorite characters in Optimus Prime is G.I. Joe characters, you might want to tone down the Transformer characters to something likable. How does Cybertron, Energon, and Armada connect? Armada takes place in 2010, Energon in 2020, and Cybertron in 2030. I can't find the connection between the three shows. You can also... A good thing that puts it together is the Balancing Act, and... what's it called? Force of Habit, which you get to see what a lot of Energon characters are doing during Cybertron, like where Rodimus is, where Ironhide is. It focuses on a different crew, but it talks about what everyone else is doing during Cybertron. Could you explain what happens if a story isn't finished like the Jane Wave comics, and the writer decides to continue, but isn't officially released by Hasbro/Tamara Takara? Okay. In Prime Theory, there were scripts released about what would happen after those comics. Prime Theory considers those as canon because it doesn't contradict anything and it adds to the lore. And it's authorial intent. It's those three things put together. If one of those things was off, I wouldn't take it into account. But also, it's unlikely that they'll ever continue working on Dreamwave. Now, if they did something like Regeneration 1 where they decide to release an official sequel to Dreamwave, then that would override the authorial intent. Also, Ask Vector Prime has stated that when Simon Furman released the scripts and information about the future issues, Ask Vector Prime confirmed that those were canon too. Is the Headmaster event canon in most universes, and which most? Define the Headmaster event. Headmasters are in a lot of universes. There isn't really a Headmaster event, though. Do you believe in the Align continuity? It's a thing. I don't know what you mean by believe. It's not like some sort of religion. If you were a Transformer, what will you turn into? A Star Destroyer? Do you think it's possible for a non-Transformer, i.e. a human, to be a full-fledged Prime and not to be more so by proxy? Clayton Abernathy of one of the universes was chosen by the Matrix, and in Transtech, he was brought into that universe and made a member of the Convoy. So he is at least some sort of Matrix bearer. So that could be considered a Prime. Godimus Prime, make it happen. What's your opinion on the Lost Light comic? Do you think Rodimus will get the Matrix of Leadership in the Functionist universe? Oh, that's a good... I never thought about that. That's an interesting idea. Lost Light, I like More Than Meets the Eye. I like Lost Light. I know when James Roberts tries to do political commentary, it comes off as the laziest, almost hilariously bad attempt that I've ever seen. But beyond that, he's added so much more to Transformers lore, and I really like those. Hitler and Miss Prime. What is your favorite Transformers toy? Now, keep in mind that I don't really mess around with Transformer toys. But I had to choose from something I have. Masterpiece Optimus Prime's pretty good. Is there something that you wish was not in canon with Transformers? The Shroud. I love multiversal singularities. I don't like that they cut them off. Is there something that you wish was not canon? Do you think Bumblebee could ever be a Prime? Sure, if the writer chose him to be. What did you think of the War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron games, specifically Metroplex, Omega Supreme, Zeta Prime, and the Combaticons? Sorry, I have a soft spot for those 5 Decepticons. Hey, they're my favorite combiners. War for Cybertron was good. Fall of Cybertron was marginally better. Metroplex was awesome. Like, when you get to do that huge cannon, I think that's the biggest gun I've ever seen, fictional or otherwise. Well, maybe the Death Star laser is bigger, but, like, I'm thinking barrel gun. Omega Supreme was pretty cool, even though you beat the crap out of him. Zeta Prime was interesting, and the Combaticons were good. Well, where am I? I mean, do you think do they fit together good? Not good, but they fit together if you squint. And that's really the best we can ask for in Transformers continuity in general. Considering Elita 1 doesn't have a consistent characterization across the different incarnations, do you think the writers just don't know what to do with her? That's an interesting idea. Possibly. But, they could just be trying to reinvent her across the line. But sort of the same argument, who is Wonder Woman, for example? Wonder Woman has been reimagined so many times, but there's still things that are core to her. But I guess there isn't anything core to Elita 1, just comparing them across the board. But think of Star Saber. Star Saber in Primex 785.06 Alpha is very different from Primex 1005.19 Gamma. Do they know what to do with him? I think they know what they're doing when they're using her as a character in their story. I don't think they're taking into account as a character trope, a character archetype of an Elita 1 herself. If that makes sense. I don't think it did. Did you ever play the Transformers 2007 DS game, Autobots and Decepticons? What's your thought? I haven't played them. I played the PC game, and I played the Revenge of the Fallen Xbox game, as far as movie games go, and Rise of the Dark Spark. Do you think a live-action Transformers Netflix series could happen? Unlikely. That's expensive for a Netflix series. While I love Robert's work in world-building and character development, I really want him to leave politics out of Transformers. Yeah. Or at least, I think I'm fine if he incorporates it smartly and not makes it look like as lazy as he does. Headmaster's event, the encounter with a race that I can't remember. You mean Nebulans? Marvel Comics. Well, yeah, Nebulans are in most universes. Headmasters are in most. Sometimes they're related, sometimes they're not. Yes, Nebulon. Oh, God, what happened? Why did I... Yeah. Will we get a modern Train Transformers that is new character, not old character? That isn't over... Well, I don't know, mate. I'm sorry. What crossovers do you want to have from Transformers? Transformers is already a big universe. Well, by the way, when I say I'm a Transformers fan or I'm doing Transformers lore, I'm just saying that because Transformers is the most influential member of all the franchises that are in the multiverse. That's a shorthand term for Transformers, G.I. Joe, everything that falls into that category. It's already pretty big as it is. I hope they bring over Inhumanoids into IDW, though. Because Inhumanoids were in the original cartoons. Why are they a thing? Don't ask me. Cheers. Why do you think that there would be an Alpha Prime in... Do you think there would be an Alpha Prime in Tyran Timeline? Alpha Prime is Primin, the first Prime. So... And then I guess multiversal singularities aren't a thing anymore. So they could be. It's really confusing about early history. None of the Shrouds happened. What do you think of IDW Shockwave is up to? I think he's up to being dead, mate. What other stuff do you like besides Transformers? Not including everything I just listed off, like G.I. Joe. Star Wars, Elder Scrolls, history, anime, DC Comics, the Marvel movie universe. A lot of nerdy stuff, really. One thing that I noticed there are a lot of Transformer fans who like this stuff that I don't, is like My Little Pony and Bionicle. I have no connection to those. If you were pitching a Star Wars Transformers crossover, which era would you place it in? Clone Wars, Galactic Civil War, First Order, Resistance Conflict. Probably Galactic Civil War, just because that's the standard. Also, if you're the Continuity King, who is the Queen? I'm the Continuity Queen as well. Is Primus the whole planet, or is he just the core of Cybertron, or is the core of Cybertron his spark? All of the above, in a sort of way. He manifests himself differently in different universes, but for the most part, he is the core of Cybertron. He is his spark that controls the body, which is him. And then sometimes he has a face inside the core. It's really... For all intents and purposes, he's the whole thing. Unless the writers don't want to think too hard about the implications of that, in which they just go for he's just the core. What's your thoughts on Transformers 2007 game and Revenge of the Fallen game? I played the 2000 PC game. It was pretty fun. I haven't played it in a while, though. And the Revenge of the Fallen game was fun. It was my first Xbox game. I like the multiplayer on that. Oh boy, where am I? Which REC-R is better, G1 or RID? I don't think you mean RID. I think you mean animated. I personally like the animated REC-R better. Malgus 1207.26 alpha? Just because I can understand what he's saying. Do you believe we were ever going to Titan class Unicron? I mean, I don't know. Let's hope so. That'd be cool. Personally, I think the idea of Optimus Prime being a member of the original 13 Prime is a little convoluted in line continuity. I didn't like that when it first happened. And he's still technically or was before the Shroud. And they're going to make him a member of the 13 in IDW. But of course, the 13 in IDW aren't exactly as powerful as the 13 from the Multiverse or Uni-End. But yeah, I'm not necessarily a fan of it. I don't hate it. I hardly hate anything but in Transformers. But I don't hate it. I'm not a fan of it. As in, I won't rally into the streets saying Optimus Prime is a 13 Prime. What do you think about the Beast Within Transformers comic? Oh boy, it was unnecessary. That's what I think about it. It was unnecessary. Well, so he is dead. I can be wrong. Do you think Transformers or something like them may in fact be in our universe? And if not, would you want to be in a universe with him? I think there are aliens. Simply because, the standard argument, because why would life only show up on one planet? But, and now I know someone in the chat is going to say, Fermi Paradox! But every universe that Transformers are a part of would bring death and destruction, and I do not want to be in a universe with Transformers in it. And I think space is so big that it's hard to say whether something doesn't exist or not, but mechanical life that changes shape into different vehicles to humanoid forms, I think is a little far-fetched. A little bit 80s, if I say so myself. Who came up with the Neon Genesis? I prefer Rebuilds XTF one-shot. Takara, yeah. It's on their site. So if you're the king and queen, do you have a castle that you live in? This is my castle. I stay in this room most of my life. Give us your best Peter Cullen Optimus Prime impression. I can't. It's terrible. You can't even tell it's a Peter Cullen impression. I think it's in Transformers Lore Marvel US Part 1. Eric Idle, though. Will you make a full video of Combiner Wars and maybe the Titans Returned? I'll make a lore video on them, yeah. My rule, by the way, is for recent things. Once the entire storyline is completed, I will wait 6 months until I make a video on it. Or a lore video on it. I do think it's been 6 months since Combiner Wars ended, right? The cartoon. I just haven't done it because does anyone really want one? And it's very hard to tell what's going on in that show. It's hard to tell where the Autobot Decepticon war begins and ends, and when the Combiner Wars war begins and ends. Oh god, the Combiner War. That's a video in of itself. Now that FunPub is no longer the holder of Transformers fan license, who do you think will continue to develop the meta of Transformers? Haven't they announced that there was a new company that was going to do that? I was worried for a moment because I thought, with all the Shroud stuff that's going on, it's like, hey, they're going to stop all the meta stuff, and that's my favorite part of Transformers. But then they announced that it was going to keep going. I think. Don't quote me on that. Thoughts on KISS players? Unpopular opinion time. I actually like it. You think Guardian Prime will become part of IDW? There are enough Primes in IDW, and Guardian Prime has only been in the Prime X Alpha universes. Hello from Indonesia. Hello. Titans Class Unicron is definitely possible within the next 10 years. When will you be talking about the Optimus in your Beast Wars Uprising lore? As in the Optimus Primal Optimus Prime. Really, I don't talk about individual characters either. I usually take it universe by universe. I mean, arc by arc. And the problem is the next part of Beast Wars Uprising is a text story. And it's really hard to make a video on a text story because there are no pictures. There aren't enough pictures. If you go to the Evangelion crossover video, there are only 4 pictures in that because there were only 4 pictures. I'm still trying to figure out how to do text stories. What if KISS players were in the IDW continuity? The only reason I wouldn't like that is because I know the fandom won't shut up about whining about it. You have a small castle. Thanks, Big Fat Bot 35. Do you think that TF Cybertron Games is connected to Prime show? I don't know why they made it into one. They made it into one universe because they wanted to build a solid universe. The only problem is that the Transformers Prime staff wanted to make something of their own and didn't want to listen to Hasbro, so they tried to be as separate as possible. The Align universe was a mess, and I would like to see the Align universe be done right. But the odds of that is unlikely. If the KISS players were in the view... Oh, yeah. If KISS players were in the feminist and Tumblr would explode. Oh, yeah, that's right. Do your best Prime and Sound... My Soundwave impression is in the most recent lore Marvel video, too. I did a synthesizer with that. Do you believe there is an alternate universe? All the stuff we see in fiction is real? I think that everything we see in fiction is real is a little bit shaky, but I do believe that there are alternate universes. But I'm not a scientist, so don't ask me to prove that. Opinion on Transformers Prime? I think it might be my favorite show. Like the actual cartoons. But Beast Wars is a heavy contender for that title, too. I think you and Diamond Bolt would make a great collaboration video. If he wants to. Chances of Optimus Prime dying by the end of Transformers last night, over 180%. I don't know. Maybe. There's Hot Rod in it. We'll have to see. Nice. Nice. Doesn't Transformers Energon just reuse the combiner gimmick from Multiverse Team for Transformers Victory? Maybe. I mean, it's a different universe, bro. It's the same multiverse, though. Doesn't Transformers Energon rip off the Autobots versus Decepticons thing from Victory? Hey, Primus Prime, who is the most powerful Transformers character? Well, it's hard to say now that the Shroud has been broken, but I'd still think Unicron, maybe. Or maybe Primus. Primus or Unicron. Oh, no, the one. The one. Unless he's divided up because of the Shroud, in which he's pretty much useless. It's really hard to gauge that since the Shroud has ruined Transformers. No, I'm kidding. But, yeah, it's really hard to tell. You'd be a great guy to collaborate with in the future. Well, then just send me a message, and if you have any good ideas, maybe we can. Is there a Shattered Glass Maximals and Predacons? Would you like to see them? And would you like to see them more? There are. There is in the Shattered Glass universe in prehistoric times, Maximals and Predacons landed, and really they just showed up on the last page of a panel in Another Light, where the Shroud happened. But they were. We only saw the Predacons, and that's all. I would like to see more of them, yeah, because I'd like to see more context for them than just leaving that plot point open. The Optimus, as in Transformers, is weird. Yes. Is Beast Wars and Beast Machine set in the Primax continuity? Primax family, yes, or Primax cluster. Why do people like it? Yeah. Okay, Daniel. Rank the 4 movies. All right. Revenge of My Fallen is the least favorite. Dark of the Moon is my favorite. I liked the first movie. I'd say Dark of the Moon's number 1. Then the only reason I'm not going to put Age of Extinction here is because Age of Extinction dragged on forever. So Dark of the Moon, 2007, Age of Extinction, Revenge of the Fallen. Why I like Dark of the Moon is because there was a lot less humor in it, and it was a lot of action. And so far, Michael Bay has shown that of all the things he does, the thing he does perfectly is action. So, yeah. I'm not necessarily saying it's a great movie. I'm saying it's my favorite out of the 4. Are Decepticons and Robots in Disguise legit cons or just criminals? If I remember correctly, they were just reprogrammed Autobots, right? At least they are in Japan. Depends on what you define as legit Decepticons. They didn't. Oh, are you talking about modern Robots in Disguise? They have the Decepticon symbol. I would say they're Decepticons. And what's the difference between a Decepticon and a criminal? Are those mutually exclusive? What do you think of the Nemesis concept? I think it was just one thing or something else. Nemesis concept. You mean the ship? You mean Nemesis Prime? Nemesis Prime is pretty fun. Rarely used to its full potential, but fun. The Nemesis ship, one of my favorite Transformer ships. Do you like IDW movie Cliffjumper? Yeah. What if the Dinobots had a good combiner? What if a good combiner? Oh boy. Then they have a good combiner. I think they stand well beyond without being a combiner team. Hey, Primus Prime, what if Unicron never exists? What will happen? Okay. Then there would be no Unicron. Also, do your best G1 Rekgar impression. I'm not letting this go. Okay. I don't even remember any good Rekgar lines from G1. By the way, never mind. I was going to say when I read Optimus Prime, I read Rekgar in animated voice. But, really, I read him in G1. I don't know how to do a Rekgar voice. Do you hate autocorrect? Because I do. I have it usually turned off and everything. Autocorrect is awesome. Oh, we have an autocorrect fandom war. Would you like to collab? I mean, hey, just message me, and if you have any good ideas that we can do. It's hard to just say collab. Okay, you need an idea first. And typically, I usually only collab with friends, but I like to collab with, you know, the Transformers community that are doing more than just toys. And the oh boy, why does that keep happening? Where were you? In the aligned continuity, Quintus Prime made the Quintessons. In G1, Quintessons made the Transformers. Which do you prefer? Well, in the long run, remember that the Quintessons didn't exactly create the Transformers. Keep that in mind. Quintessons have either been made by Unicron, made by Quintus Prime, or through basically atechnogenesis. I don't necessarily have a preference. Who would the strongest Prime be? The strongest Prime is Primus a Prime though. Is Primus a Prime? Strongest Prime. I don't know. I don't usually think about that stuff. I think of events. I don't think of power levels. Autocorrect succeeds. Will you do a lore video on Shattered Glass? I am intending to. I actually have a script. But I wanted to put that on Halloween. But as you can see, it's past Halloween. I want to do that eventually, though, yes. I want to do a lore video on everything. That's the point. Which do you prefer? 100 Minicon-sized tidal waves or 100 or Titan-class wheelie? Why can't we have both? Is Shattered Class continuity? Would Unicron be good? Unicron has shown himself to be good in that continuity. He was bad because he was a singularity. Then the Shroud happened, and then the Primus and Unicron, those in that universe that were created or branched off of the main singularity, became good and bad. Message retracted. Will we get a Transformers Shattered Glass movie one day? I don't believe so, no. Which Combaticon is your favorite? Vortex, probably. I really like all of them. Really, really much. Really much. Very much. That's the word. Dark of the Moon is my favorite movie in the Transformers movie as well. Dark of the Moon is actually my least favorite. Do you think the GJD would make for excellent movie villains in a film not directed by or involving Michael Bay? Well, it's hard to say. One would hope. When the combiner's main component or chess piece is destroyed, does that cause all the other components to die at once, or do they remain alive or remain active? Diamond Bolt just answered this question in his video that came out today, but not necessarily, no. Usually the components survive. The chest part is done for, but the arms usually survive. Do you think we will ever get a good live-action Transformers movie? Let's hope so. Do you think Drift will die in The Last Night? I don't know. Hey, Primus Prime, who is the most powerful Transformers villain out of Unicron? Villain? Maybe Tornadron? What do you think of this theory that I found on Tumblr that Grimlock in the games is dead or too old so the new Grimlock took his name casually? He's building New Kaon right now. He is not dead. What is going on? What would you name a Dinobot combiner? I don't know. Has Transformers ever made you cry? Yes. Do you like the Quintessons or do you hate them because they made the continuity more confusing? I like anything that contributes to the lore. The main thing I don't like about the Quintessons is how the fans think that they made the Transformers like completely by themselves. That's what ticks me off about the Quintessons. That's why when I hear Quintessons, I sort of cringe because I know that they're thinking they're the creators. That's not how it works. Read Transformers Universe. Look at Japanese beast machines. It's not the Quintessons who made them. They might have made them, but it wasn't their idea, theoretically. And it wasn't their energy that was used to make them. But I like the Quintessons as themselves. What would happen if Decepticons and Autobot combiners accidentally merged, hypothetically? There is a universe where that happened. Basically, it was during peacetime. They made peace, and they sort of interchanged. That was from a Japanese-based universe. What would happen if a Decepticon and blah blah blah? Do the robots in disguise Decepticons have any relation to Predacons and Transformers Prime? Not that we've seen. I don't think so. No. I don't even know how to disable autocorrect. And then a face. Disregard. I mean, like, what if the cons were branded as cons for being criminals? Why don't? That's not how Decepticonism works. Decepticons is an ideology. It's like, if you arrest a criminal, do you put a swastika on them? Because I don't think... and make them Nazis? Decepticonism is an ideology, regardless of who their leader is. And, like, not all Nazis like Hitler. They're Decepticons and criminals. You can't be only one or the other. If you could pick 5 specific Transformers, Autobot, a Decepticon, or other, to form their own team, what would you... I don't know. What's a great idea to introduce Unicron by introducing Primus? What? I mean, Unicron was introduced pretty well in the Marvel Comics. What were your childhood toys besides Transformers? Really it was only Transformers. You have to remember, I'm Poe. Like Poe. I played with Transformers, and I played with, for a time at Burger King, for Happy Meals, they gave out, like, sort of Star Wars little figures that were sort of deformed to look chibi, and I would go to Burger King a lot just to get those toys, and basically all I really played with were Transformers and those Burger King Happy Meals. The death of Prime and Transformers, the movie, had a huge effect on me when I first watched it, and to this day I still get hesitant to go back to this. How much did it affect you when you first saw it? Okay. Keep in mind that I grew up with Transformers Armada, and then after Transformers Armada, well, I got into Transformers Armada after it finished, so when I was watching it was nothing but reruns. But I said, hey, I like this Transformers thing, and my mom's like, hey, they have Transformers the movie at Blockbuster. Yeah, Blockbuster. Those were around. And so, like, hey, let's watch it. And so we rented it, and that was my first exposure to Generation 1. And I was watching it, I was like, oh, Megatron isn't this giant green dude with giant shoulders and antlers. But when Optimus Prime died, and this is like 2002, 2003, 4? Around when Energon started, you had this little kid watching Transformers the movie from 1986, crying his eyes out when Optimus Prime died. Like, I knew nothing about the movie beforehand. I essentially sort of had the same experience as all the 80s kids had when they watched the movie in the theater. The only difference is I didn't have such an experience with the G1 cartoon, so I didn't know these characters specifically, but Optimus Prime is Optimus Prime. So it really impacted me. It impacted me more than when Optimus Prime died in Armada, when the giant cannon hit him while he was defending Earth. Who won in a fight between Hook and Ratchet? I think that's the most specific question I've ever heard. It depends on which universe, really. Usually, I believe Hook, because he's the one with military training. But realistically, Ratchet is more important to the plot, so he has plot armor. I wonder if Megatron had not been arrested, tortured, Whirl, would he have gone with his civil disobedience route? That seems to be the thing, yeah. Oh, boy. There are a lot of questions. What are your thoughts on Sins of the Wreckers? I went in expecting a sequel to Last Stand, The Wreckers, and I was disappointed because it wasn't like The Wreckers. That's what happens when you take Roberts out of the duo. But it's fine on its own. I need to reread it, because I read it while it came out, and you know how they had, 2 months between issues, so I hardly remembered what was happening, so I need to reread it. What crossover would you like to see with Transformers? Me, if it's something like, I'm good with it. I think there's already enough. Do you like the Transformers animated human villains? I think they're my least favorite part of the show, but I still remember them, so that says I like them to some degree. This is Chatter Ace contacting you from a different account. I have some technical difficulties. How powerful will be the Dinobots combined? If the Beast is to show us anything, pretty powerful. Pretty OP. To be honest, the Torchbearers in IDW haven't been all that likable, but Pyromagna has been the worst. I don't like Pyromagna. I've been fine with Pyromagna, but when she starts to act like she needs the Matrix, that's when I'm like, okay, I'm not sure if we're supposed to like her or not, because I don't think she's necessarily being written as a proper antagonist, even though she's going against the main character, and especially when it's, they're having their whole campaign to have a female combiner, have some female representation in it. Is it really a good idea for your first female combiner team to be antagonists? I think they can write her better. Or at least, antagonists in the sense of opposing. Like Megatronia. I mean, she's an antagonist, but it's the Decepticons. You kind of have to expect it. But the Torchbearers have been, Who's afraid of the TJD? Most everyone. I forgot what the Quintessons and Shattered Glass were called. I think they're called the Quintessons. Hey, Professor Prince. Yeah, that was one of the lamer ones. But I like Slow-Mo. I liked the Angry Archer. What would happen if the Gurren Lagann universe had a TF crossover? In Japan, that would probably happen. I doubt it would happen, but it'd be fun to look at. Would love to see the builder that made Unicron from the animated after the original movie. What? What happened after Beast Machines? Transformers, the Wreckers, universe featuring the Wreckers and Transformers Universe are the two comic series you want to look at for that. The DJD are a bunch of reckless loose cannons. They can't be that tough. Oh. Really? Who is your favorite Wheeljack incarnation and Grimlock incarnation? Favorite Wheeljack? This is going to make people angry, but it's not the traditional Wheeljack you'd think of, but Armada Wheeljack. And favorite Grimlock? G1 cartoon Grimlock. Note, sarcasm in some aspects. They all clash the universes. Blockbuster, what a time to be alive. Blockbuster doesn't even know what Transformers is. I remember Blockbuster saying, only 90s kids remember Blockbusters. Oh boy. What do you make of Starscream and Alexis? I thought that was one of the best parts of Armada. Luckily Energon stood between and the Bay movies. What if combiners combine into a planet-sized bot/con? Let's sort of ease off the hypothetical questions, guys. What's more canon, Marvel or Hasbro? Everything is canon. There's nothing that's more canon. If Transformers Animated continued, would Sari Sumdick have eventually gained a full Cybertronian mode upgrade, or would she eventually technically blah blah blah? Let's talk about... I have the Allspark Almanac. Should I turn on the lights? Let's find out. Then we just move the Transformer DVDs. I have the Allspark Almanac. I don't know if you can see that. But it has what would have happened for Season 3. And it would involve more of her getting in touch with her Cybertronian self. Let me check the table of contents. Is there a table of contents? Because if there's not... Okay. Season 3. Season 4, I mean. Page 404. Season 4 is on 404. What was going to happen in Season 4? They're talking about the different arcs. They would exist more plot lines like Sari's origin and Black Arachna's growing army of Predacons. Ironhide would have joined the team. Stuff like that. Have you watched Diamond Bolt's Transformers summed up in one quote? No, not yet. Would Decepticons be a faction or label? In some universes they're a faction, some universes they're like an ethnicity, and some universes they're a straight up race. It's a big range. Sometimes it's an ideology. It goes anything from a way of thought to how you were born. To the point you could be an ethnic Autobot, but be a member of the Decepticons. Hey, Primus Prime, do you think Predaking is dead in line continuity? I don't remember. Did they say something about that in Robots in Disguise? Optimus Prime versus Megazord. Who would win? Optimus Prime has a stronger connection to his body. Like, who would win? You versus a mini, like 5 mini people piloting someone a little bigger than you. I think those who have control of their own body would probably win. But it's not like I'm biased or anything. In the IDW comics, what was Soundwave before he was a Decepticon, and what was the purpose of the Institute Network? Soundwave was originally a homeless person because he was an outlier, and he could hear all the people, everyone he knew. Then Ravage, Laserbeak, and Buzzsaw came and sort of calmed him down and made him be able to focus. And then Ratbat came to him and used him as a tool to basically read people's minds and be his assistant. And that led to him later joining the Decepticons. The Institute was used by... The first Institute was used... The first Institute was used to mind wipe people or do Imparata or shadow play to stop people from rebelling against the Senate. The new Institute was what Zeta Prime started. I don't remember what that was for. I'm getting the relinquishment clinics in my head for some reason. But we know Chrome Dome worked for them, and Soundwave was about to be a victim of the new Institute. What do you think of the winner for the Power of the Primes? Optimus Prime? I like it. If the Quintessons didn't make the Transformers, what's the story for G1? Primus created the Transformers. If read Transformers Universe. No, read Transformers Universe featuring the Wreckers. That explains how Primus created the Transformers in G1. The Quintessons were really just a tool. Who win in a fight? Sentinel Prime from Transformers Animated or Dark of the Moon Sentinel Prime? Dark of the Moon Sentinel Prime. Who has the highest kill count? If two new Dinobots that were female and all Dinobots combined, what would you name it? That's a hypothetical question. A good time waste? Okay. Lenny Faze, who wants to smoke circuit speakers? Are there any evidence that the Transformers Prime version of RC was alive on Cybertron before the war broke out? Yes, because she's in Transformers War for Cybertron. You see her evacuating Autobot prisoners from Kaon in War for Cybertron. And also, she participated a little bit in the war on Cybertron, and that's where she lost a couple partners. Although Tailgate... Yeah, she lost Tailgate on Cybertron, right? Well, that's after the war broke out. I guess there is technically no evidence of her being alive before the war broke out, but... I mean, come on. Do we need to know how many people lived before the war? Revolutionaries, is it a great book or the greatest book? It is... I really like Revolutionaries. Yeah, it's a pretty great book. I'll say pretty great book, because greatest, I don't know, greatest is a little much, but it's a pretty great book. Do you like Rewind and Chrome Dome in a relationship in the comics? Yeah. I liked it a bit earlier. The part where they did the whole Chrome Dome, I love, it isn't for me to say. They got a little too mushy and, Dying of the Light. But yeah, I like it. I wish they'd explore more of the ethical questions of whether the Chrome Dome and Rewind that are together right now are the same Chrome Dome and Rewind. They started to get into that a little bit in More Than Meets the Eye, but they haven't really touched it much recently, and that's always intrigued me. Will you do any lore episodes on all of Shockwave's creations, and what is your favorite one next to Bruticus, of course? Maybe. It's certainly on the table. Favorite Shockwave creation? There's been so many. I've even forgotten that Bruticus was one of his creations. I like the Regenesisaurs. There's really so much. That's fine. What's your favorite and least official ship relationship? Huh. That's a good question. Favorite ship. Might be Mainframe and Scarlet from IDW. But that's... I'm not necessarily like going to rally in the streets for that ship. My least favorite, I know it's supposed to be all traditional and stuff, that's how it is, but I don't like the Scarlet Snake Eyes relationship. Snake Eyes doesn't talk, people! Nice suit, by the way. Thanks. It was a presentation. Wanted to be like a professional teacher. Do you think that Transformers Prime, Jack Darby, and RC should have been a couple or not? Personally, I shipped them, but I'm not the only one. I think they worked better as a partnership, personally. Favorite swerve joke? I don't remember any swerve jokes. I did like the meta bomb, though. Did all cons in the war fight in the Great War, or are some arrested and put into Occam before? That's a good question. I don't know. What would happen if Omega Supreme's brain ran on Windows Vista? Then he wouldn't be Supreme, would he? He'd be the last line of defense because he'd be the last one to boot up. What would happen, if they decide to bring Sorry Sumdac and Jack Darby over into the IDW universe, do you think they'll be antagonists? I pray they didn't do it like that. I don't think so, no. That'd be cool if they brought him in. But really, I want more Verity Carlo. Verity Carlo, that's like one of my favorite human characters right there. What do you think would happen if Tailgate made it on the Ark, and would it be different? You mean IDW? Oh, yeah, because if he was on the Ark, he would be part of that whole Dead Universe stuff. Oh, that would be interesting. Would that make it another... Well, yeah, it wouldn't be the same timeline, because it would be different events. Did you have a crush from RC on 1980s anime movie? I did not. Could it be possible for a human's essence, soul, or everyone, to become a spark for... not necessarily a spark, but we have seen human transplants into robots with Autobot Spike back in 1984. You guys and your hypotheticals on what ifs. Who hasn't thought of a human becoming... Who hasn't thought of a human becoming a transformer? Oh god, it did the whole thing again. Would you like to see a Khan rescue bots, considering it's part of the Align universe? A Decepticon rescue bot team. That would be interesting, but it's not like the Decepticons work that way. But you know, all military organizations usually have some sort of unit devoted to evacuation of civilians and stuff like that. It's whether or not that's an interesting question. Huh. That would be an interesting thing to see. Because, like, even the Nazis had evacuation groups. That's interesting. What if Bumblebee played only We Are Number One in meme song mixes? Oh, boy. I'm pretty sure that counts as a hypothetical question. Who did you vote for in Power of the Primes? I didn't vote because I felt any of the candidates really reflected what I believed, and I wouldn't feel morally proud of myself to have voted in that election and it be my first election. Oh wait, that's Power of the Primes. I actually didn't vote because I forgot about the voting dates. Impurata doesn't look that bad, actually. I mean, neither does communism on paper, but, what if Bumblebee was really Unicron? That would be the plot twist of the century. We are number one, but played by Bumblebee, but every time one is played, Skid says, shrimp taco. I wonder if the DJD are like in Shattered Glass Universe. They have a list of everyone who's been loyal to the Decepticon cause, and they invite them to music parties. Who do you think will win, Grimlock or Predaking? Well, if we're talking about aligned Predaking and the green aligned Grimlock, I think it's an obvious answer. If RC was pink in War for Cybertron, why is she blue in Transformers Prime? She changed colors? I mean, that's not all uncommon for Transformers to just change their appearance. Would you love to see more of the other races in the live-action movies? Other races as in what? She skinned a blue motorcycle. I guess that's an interesting thing. She also had a blue form while she was on Cybertron, before she came to Earth. Did you watch the fan-made project Transformers Broken Mirror? And if so, did you like it? I watched a fan thing where it was everyone was like in costume. It was live action. I don't remember if that was Broken Mirror or not, but I loved it. What would happen if Steeljaw and the Khans saw Megatron was alive? What universe are we talking about? Oh, is that Robots in Disguise? I don't know. They probably wouldn't support Megatron's whole don't fight thing. What is your least favorite Transformers TV show? Mine is Robots in Disguise 2001. Robots in Disguise 2001 is just not talked about. My least favorite is, and here's where I get extreme hate, my least favorite is the 1980s Generation 1 cartoon. Simply because, as a show, not necessarily as a continuity, but as a show. Because of just, it's a commercial. All of them are, but with G1 you can really tell. In the Aligned continuity, Nexus Prime was the first combiner, but is the enigma of combination still a thing? Could you go in depth? Nexus Prime technically wasn't the first combiner. Technically it was the first one to just split up into parts. But the enigma of combination should still be a thing, but we don't know how artifacts of the primes work in a post-Shroud world. They seem to be working on Robots in Disguise, but I haven't kept up with that series much. I do want to see how artifacts of the primes work now, because now they could be more powerful than the original people who made them. Scarlet, Snake Eyes, you need to communicate with me, Snake Eyes. Have you watched Night/2020's? That was the... Oh, crap. Oh, boy. Have you watched Night/2020's Transformers stop motion series? Yes, I watched it since I was like in middle school, and I loved it. And fun fact, he used to start off his videos by saying, "Hey, what's up, everybody? Mike here with another video for you." And I sort of just casually took that intro. So, but yeah, I love those. I haven't kept up with the recent like Nexus chapters, but I really like the old stuff. Hello, hi, how are you? What's this live stream? What do you think of Scavengers in IDW? Really like them. Hated More Than Meets the Eye Revolution though, but outside of that, I like them. Where's Apeface right now in the comics? I am in no way up to date and relatively new to this, but you helped me get to TF. Thank you. Apeface, I don't even remember. How do I look up something without? I really can't use my stuff much. Let me get to OBS and do a little changes. Let's just go ahead and do that. Nope, we don't want to do that. Webcam over this. Hey, that was weird. Let me just turn that off in case you see some weird search history. Apeface really isn't a major player in IDW. I don't even know if he's appeared. I don't know if he's dead. And now since I'm using the internet, it's going to slow down. The stream might lag a bit. Let's look up Apeface. TF Wiki is the best way to use TF Wiki is to see where people are and when. I don't recommend using it for like proper research. IDW. Oh, he's dead. He was smashed by Superion. Okay. GG, guys. Oh. Which badly written, annoying TF character would you like to shoot the most? I wouldn't like to shoot anyone. But one I don't like, as in badly written. Badly written. You mean most of the Unicron trilogy? The dialogue for that is badly written. It isn't necessarily badly written on its own. I don't know, actually. Transformers have CNA, meaning their bodies have genetic information. They exercise, meaning they have cells. Confirm? Yes, they do have... The exercise doesn't necessarily, like, strengthen them. There are transform-ups and stuff like that, but they do have genetic material. Is Kickback and Robots in Disguise separate from the Insecticon and Fall of Cybertron? I haven't seen much of Robots in Disguise, but likely I haven't seen. Is he still called Kickback in, like, Fall of Cybertron? I don't remember. I'm going to have to do more research into that. Armored Cores versus Transformers, any gen, who would win? I don't know what Armored Cores are. Let me look that up for a second. Armored cores. Are you talking about like... Oh, it's a mecha thing. I don't know. If they're piloted, I would say Transformers, simply on the fact that Transformers control their bodies better. Zombie Transformers, yes. I shouldn't have hit that button, should I? Char as Nobble for Prime. Let's see who knows. Oh, he becomes a Prime and paints his body red to go 3 times as fast. What do you think Megatron does in his spare time while Robots in Disguise crew is showing what's happening in the Union? Megatron's probably just wandering around. What state do you live in? North Carolina. North Carolina! Who is your favorite Autobot in Prime and your favorite Autobot in animated? Favorite in Prime? Optimus Prime. Favorite in animated? Blur. I know that's a weird choice, but I really like Blur. RC went to Macaco. What? After Optimus rose the Titan on Earth, everyone started calling it a colony world. Does this mean there are native Transformers on Earth? On IDW, we don't know. In other parts of the multiverse, yes, there have been native Earth Transformers. You can't see me. We can. I see all. What? Don't hurt G1. I hurt G1. Do you know about the Transformers project Galvatron's Revenge? And did you? I've heard about it. Didn't donate to it. If you want to support it, go ahead. I plan on going to Universal Studios. I only donate to stuff that... I donate to efforts to help third world countries, to medical research. I feel that that's a good way, a better way to spend money than on something that's like that. I don't really believe in donating to like YouTubers. I'll never ask anyone to donate to me. Like, if you guys watched the first episode of MGo's Q&A, pretty much everything he said about donations, I agree wholeheartedly with. I'm going to Universal Studios to check out Transformers The Ride. Is that something you plan on doing eventually? I hope so, but it's unlikely I'll be able to. How many Transformer figures have you bought in the last year and a half? I bought the 5... No, I bought 1. No, how long ago was that? I didn't even buy that. 0. I haven't bought any new... I haven't bought a new figure in the last year and a half. The Cybertronic spree. Check it out. What if Bumblebee never died on Dark Cybertron? Then he probably wouldn't be haunting Starscream now, would he? If they made an animated crossover between Transformers Prime and the Marvel superheroes, who would you have in charge of writing the story? I don't know. Who winning the fight? Fall of Cybertron Grimlock or Robots in Disguise? Fall of Cybertron Grimlock. He's the more trained veteran. He went through an entire battalion of Decepticon soldiers and just slaughtered them all. Also, whose idea was it to make Jetfire one of the 2 twins in a Russian stereotype? And I thought that was an interesting take on the character. If I feel like a Decepticon showed up on Griffin Rock, I fear rescue bots would be in danger because Optimus put rescue bots on to keep them out of harm's way. Yeah, they're not combat bots. Although Griffin Rock faces too much natural disasters to operate as a human settlement. How often do Transformers need Energon and how long can they go without? That's an interesting question and one that I've been wondering. It varies quite often, and sometimes they just don't even bother to mention the fact that they have an Energon shortage. Is this your first live stream? I've live streamed a lot before. Yeah, there's a way not stream. Others of artificial beings from the Formers universe. I mean, that would be interesting. Transformer Slate recharge. How often do they need to do it? Also in IDW, what are the tubes on their chest for Energon? What are the tubes on their chest for Energon? I don't know what tubes you're talking about in IDW. But on average, they sleep around... They seem to have a sleep schedule similar to humans. But that hasn't been fully fleshed out yet. Why did B lose his arm cannons and Prime to RID and change his body? Is it because the war is over? Maybe. That's an interesting theory. but that hasn't really been talked about, has it? Okay, real question. What do you think of Beast Wars, and what are the Maximals and Predacon symbols? The Maximal symbol is a symbol for the Maximals, and the Predacon symbol is a symbol for the Predacons. And I love Beast Wars. Who powerful is Unicron? What? I would love to see McFarlane make a line of Transformers. I like trains. Who will Unicron or Bill Cipher? Gravity Falls. I can't see them being. Is a universe where Megatron or Galvatron has 3 modes? There's a universe where Megatron / Galvatron has 10 modes, fool. Robots in Disguise, the original. Probably, yeah. How does a line continuity universe work best to you? By squinting at it. Char's Custom Prime. No universe is safe. Technically Times Return. What's your favorite combiner? Bruticus. Megatron plays Minecraft. Do you like Movie Devastator? Not particularly. Vegeta and Starscream. Who has the largest ego? Starscream. You're asking a Transformers channel this, by the way. In future history videos, if you can, would you be so kind as to include the dates in BCE? Also, going on Transformers right tomorrow. I do put dates in BCE. And if they happen, I put dates on how scientists and historians would put it in. So it's either CE, BCE, or MYA. If a date is given in a, like, AU, as in after Unicron, then I use that. But I usually convert that to CE as well. Well, there is Armored Core that is not piloted per se. You might be able to put a fine. Oh, crap. Apologies for it being unrelated to Transformers, but are you going to see the new Power Rangers movie? I wanted to see Rogue One, but I never really got the chance to see it. I'm really bad at seeing movies. How cool would it be? Again, I'm Poe. How cool would it be if we get a Transformers zombie survival game? That'd be a bit over the top. Why do Transformers breathe? They don't really... They don't. Organic ones do. Like ones with organic pieces do, but they don't have to. Somehow choking them hurts them, though. It's really confusing why. Have you read the Lost Light comic? You know, they say there are no stupid questions, but I've seen pretty much... Yeah. How powerful is Unicron? Very. I ship Bumblebee and Sorry, Rodimus and RC, Starscream and Alexis and or Windblade. And I am watching your stream the day after my first surgery, so yeah, it really gives me something to enjoy while my nose is getting itself healed. Oh, wow. Sorry, man. I ain't no fool. Yeah. Differences between the Outliers and 0.1 percenters in terms of powers and abilities. Outliers have a lot more variety in what they can do, but they don't necessarily have the endurance of a 0.1 percenter. 0.1 percenters are generally just load bearers. That's the other term for them, load bearers. They're stronger and have more endurance. What's your favorite episode in each TV show? Oh, God. G1... I don't know. Maybe War Dawn. Beast Wars. What is it? Code of the Hero. The one where Dinobot dies. Beast Machines. I don't remember the names of these episodes. But the one where they find out Tankor is Rhinox. Robots in Disguise. I honestly haven't seen much of. Probably the one where Optimus and Ultra Magnus argue so much that they combine. Armada. The one where Starscream. The one where Starscream. I guess when he dies. Energon. Weird thing. Unpopular opinion. I really like Energon. I am so sorry. But, yeah. Energon. Probably the one where Unicron first attacks Cybertron. And where Optimus flies and says, here's the plan. We attack Megatron. He basically just gives a list of goals instead of a plan. Oh, that dub. Cybertron, the one where Primus transforms. Animated. The one where... The whole season finale for Season 2 was pretty good. Prime... My favorite Prime episode is that one where Arachnid kidnaps, and I think kidnaps Jack, when Jack's in her ship, and the whole episode is in a gray tone. Robots in Disguise. I haven't seen too much of the current Robots in Disguise to really pick. What? Why is the Transformers and Michael Bay's movies so weak to human weaponry? For example, machine guns. That's a good question. Levi Church. We need a whole episode for that. Oh yeah. Do you like the Align Universe idea? I like the idea. Yes. Does the excavator snake worm thing that the crappy... Oh, the driller. Things similar to the driller have appeared outside of the Tyrant cluster, but nothing specifically called a driller. There was like the closest I think I can think of off the top of my head is the Dweller from G1. Who would win, Vector Prime from the RX universe or Sentinel from Tyrant universe? Probably Vector Prime. What is your favorite version of Lockdown? Huh. Maybe IDW. Lockdown has generally done good across the board, though. I liked all of them. Like one of the theories I have came up with the Bayforms is that because of lack of energon, that's an interesting theory. How many blurs would it take to beat Unicron? You like to combine your love of Transformers with your love for history. I'm the same way, but with science. Do you have any Transformers science facts? See, Transformers science is very loose. It's more science. Transformers is more high fantasy than science, despite it. Sort of like Star Wars. It's science fiction, but its science is more out there. TF science facts. If your quantum engines blow up while you're in transit, you're going to divide into two versions of yourself and go to two different points, apparently. Lol. It's okay, but it sucks I really can't breathe through my nose. Do Transformers get sick? There's several diseases. There's cybercrosis, there's the rust plague, there's the hate plague. Yeah. There's that weird seed that Rhinox A and B stores that made him have explosive farts. You guys remember that, right? I didn't just have like a weird LCD trip when that episode happened, right? What do you think of the CGI Beast Wars series Transmutate? That episode made me cry. What do you think of Robots in Disguise 2001 Megatron Galvatron's Hand? It's pretty cool. Have you seen Diamond Bolt's latest video? If so, will you do more about your channel? It's the best way I can say it without spoiling it. His most recent Q&A I've seen, yeah. I don't know what you mean about more about my channel. Been thinking about making a TF channel. Name, recommendations, ideas? Do what you want to do, bro. I am making a video reading my ultimate crossover fan fiction in the future, and I hope you can watch it when it comes out. Okay. Don't worry, I like Energon too. Thank you. You liked Energon too? Oh my god, we have Energon fans in here. I didn't know they existed. What website would be the best for Transformers research? Really, the best way to do research is to look into primary sources. TF Wiki would be the best, but TF Wiki is a lot more casual fan oriented. And you have to be very careful. There are a lot of things that are wrong on TF Wiki that you have to be careful of. I thought Energon was okay. Not great, but okay. Fair enough. If you were a Transformer, what name would you give yourself? If Primus primes every bot come by Y to you? I don't know. Fun question. Which Transformer would make a great Hamlet? I think maybe an animated version of Optimus Prime, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe. Energon is garbage. Shame on you. Oh, coming from Daniel Adkins, Mr. Don't Talk Crap About Transformers Cybertron. Please don't. Can't we all get along except everyone's opinion is their own? Why did Barricade turn into G1? What are you saying? I hate Beast Machines. Don't consider it canon. Well, that's something you can't pretend something's not canon if it's canon. How many nulls would it take to beat Unicron? Is there one Vector Prime who changes appearance? Not anymore. There used to be. And then there used to be one, then there used to be two, then there used to be one, and now there are many. Like 17 billion. In Transformers Prime, did you like the idea of Unicron as Earth's core, or does his Wandering Planet version make better sense? I like both. They're the same thing anyway. Because that was around the time that they Uniend and the multiverse unified, but before the Shroud happened. So it's just one step. The next progression. Favorite, most interesting Prime of the 13? Probably Vector Prime. I like Quintus Prime, though. I like a lot of the 13. Post-shroud. More than one of each prime, pre-shroud only. Energon fan exists? I never knew people... No, I do not like Kicker. Let's make that clear. I do not like Kicker. Cybertron is a Cybertron is a masterwork now. Is that so? Is that so? All right. How many minicons would it take to combine to a normal-sized combiner? I don't know, but it took a good bit of them to become a Unicron-sized combiner. Which Transformer would you want as a best friend? But they can change their alt mode whenever you want. I would like having Primus as a best friend because he's God. Why are there... I am in this weird leaning position. Ooh, blah, blah, blah. Why are there many in the aligned robots in disguise Decepticons animals? Are there Decepticon subspecies that... Megatron ideology? I don't know. That's one of the weird things about... If that's explained in Robots in Disguise, please tell me, because I haven't gotten that far into it. Wait, the Bayverse Films is Tyrant continuity. Tyran, no T. How many clusters do we know of? Oh boy. Tyran. Well, it's Prime X, RX, Tyran, Malgus, Uniend, Rovio, Zobiter, Yayayers, Gargant, Lucas, that's 10. Viron, Jokus. That might be it. I think there's only 12. There could be more that we know of. But yeah. If a Transformers movie reboot would happen, and if you were in charge of it, what Autobots would you want to appear as well as cons? I don't know. That would be... I have to think hard about that. If you go 80 miles per hour, how long does it take to go 80 miles per hour? Okay. Favorite Transformers Prime episode? I said that. I remember their episode where Rhinox was turned to a Predacon. Yeah, there is that one. Hey, LMAO, Flame Please Law. Are you going to watch the latest Transformers movie? As I was done with the friend. I'm primusprime22. I watch and read everything. Except apparently as much as Robots in Disguise as I need to. But I watch and read everything. Generally, I love everything, too. Are you going to... is there info about the one? Pretty much I've said everything that there is to say about the one on this channel already. Why didn't they have... Besides the Uniend one. Why didn't they have Sentinel Prime in the aligned continuity? He's called Sentinel Zeta Prime. He's in there, yep. What do you think about Titan's Return? The comic event? I thought it was interesting. It's still going on, sort of, in Till All Are One. And I really like what Till All Are One's doing. More for Cybertron. Lucas is the Star Wars... Yep, Lucas is Star Wars Transformers. Back on the TSS Shakespeare's character idea. I think that hands down the most version of Starscream will probably be... do you like Knockout? Transformers Prime Knockout? Yeah, I love Knockout. Played any sports / workout? I instruct Ishinryu Karate. I used to swim back in the day. But really karate is my main thing. So you love Energon. It's pretty much what I grew up on. Do you watch the Flash TV show? I do not. I never really got into Arrow. I felt it was way too different for the comic for my taste. So you watch and read everything. Think about the implications. Yeah. Quick Switch is Six Shot's son. Then who was his mother? It's not... I'd have to look more into the Six Shot thing. I'm probably getting him confused with Quick Switch in my head right now. But we haven't gotten much information on that in the first place. What is the status of the GoBots right now? Does Hasbro own them now? They have been. Yeah, GoBots is currently. Well, I think it just ended. There's this event where the GoBots are traveling through the multiverse. The most recent Shattered Glass story had the GoBots in it, I believe. And yeah, Hasbro owns them. Hasbro's owned them for a while. What universe would Transformers Combiner show fit into? Primax, and then whatever the date was, Alpha. Who is your favorite Ironhide incarnation? G1 cartoon Ironhide, probably. Energon? No. What's wrong with the TF Wiki? It's inaccurate sometimes. It's too casual. Wow, he said TF Wiki has a lot of mistakes. Who would win Ultra Prime or Bruticus? Ultra Prime, because he has plot armor. When and where did Transformers reproduce through budding example? Most of the universes, though we aren't specifically told all of them. Prime X9 4.0 Gamma is a good example of one that had budding. You think Megatron would be a good Macbeth? You know, I don't really know much about Shakespeare. Can Transformers have children? Yes. Have you ever wrote a fan fiction Transformers story? Yes. It's in the description of one of my videos. The Flash TV show is better than Arrow. I've heard. Mrs. Incredible... Okay. I bet you thought this would be a lore question, but it was me, Dio, who would win. Dio Brander with the water versus Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime. Do you ship Transmutate and Rampage from Beast Wars Uprising? I mean, I like their relationship. I don't necessarily know if it's necessary to go full-on romantic with it. How can Transformers have kids? There's a video on that, actually, on my channel. Genders and sexual reproduction. There's also asexual reproduction, but kids specifically sexual reproduction. Do you like the jokes on TF Wiki? Yeah. Sometimes. Why is Mr. Krabs unfair? Why is he always in there, standing at the concession? Okay. How cool would it be if Transformers Cybertronians were hybrid children of gems of the Steven Universe? Oh boy. Bruticus versus Betatron. Who would win, and do you think Comedicons deserve a rematch with Charlie's Angels? Who would win, Ultra Magnus or Prime? Prime. Transmutate and Rampage are a great friendship. Yeah, I think so too. And I've caught up. So continue asking if you need to, or if you got any questions. I finally caught up. I'm going to get some more water real quick. I don't have any of the transition screens like I usually do, so just bear with the emptiness. Oh. Tiptoe by the window. Alright. I have returned. Oh boy. Can Transformers get drunk? Yes. How does evil bad Transformers go to the dark spark? Or do they go to the afterlife? So far. There is a pit, but so far we haven't seen the pit actually be used as an afterlife. It appears that the pit is more like a religious belief that Transformers have that isn't true. The pit is usually just inside Unicron, and it definitely seems like the after spark seems to be where Transformers usually go. You like the IDW Hasbro wiki, right? Especially those ROM pages, right? The ROM pages are pretty good. When I was working on the Oracle ROM page a few days ago at my university, but the Wi-Fi sucks, and I wrote everything from the annual in there. It was like a big chunk. Wrote it. Took me about an hour. Went to save. Wi-Fi cut out while I was editing, and said, "Nah, we aren't gonna put all that stuff you just wrote. You just wasted your hour on. We're just gonna say, nah, that never happened." But yeah, the IDW one it's better than the Oracle right now, yeah, but yeah, it's pretty good. It has less room to be wrong. G1 is proof, so is IDW. Favorite version of Nemesis Prime, Transformers Prime or IDW Nova Prime. The Nemesis Prime that was cloned from that one RX Optimus Prime. There's a full wiki page on him. There's a full page on him on the Oracle. Because he goes through this awesome, like, change of heart. When you have a good Nemesis Prime, I think he's the best written Nemesis Prime. Transformers King. What exactly is the Decepticons Warriors Elite? It appears to be the precursor to the Phase 6ers. It looks like just 0.1% are Decepticons. What type of shampoo do you use? I don't remember the name, though. For a while, I used horse shampoo. I don't know why. How is everyone's day going? Fine, okay. Did you watch the film Iron Giant? I did. Long. Guys, he's gone. Let's party. Transmutates literally... Okay. Okay. What do you think of the Transformers Avengers crossover? Weirdly, I loved it when I first read it back in middle school. When I reread it the second time, immediately afterwards, I realized, hey, wait a minute, this isn't good as I remembered it being a day ago. Hey, that's rude. Transmutate had a problem. Did you like Null / the Sharkticons in general? Yeah, they had add to the lore, but was it his fault? I'm glad Transmutate gave us an officially autistic Transformers character. Do you smoke circuit speeders? No. And she is great. Great. Look, she could fly. Who will win in a fight, Transformers or GoBots? Personally, Transformers, I believe. But it depends on which Transformer and which GoBot. What is Align Shockwave up to as of now? That's a good question. I don't think we really know. Brawl versus the Hulk. Who would win? Brawl, probably. Well, no, just Hulk does that thing where the more damage he does, he just gets angrier and powerful, right? Huh. Probably the Hulk, honestly. In one of your Q&A videos, you talk about the origin of the Vok, and I didn't understand. Can you explain? So, in the Marvel comics, they did budding. Well, really, a lot of users did budding, but in the Marvel comics around Generation 2, a group of Decepticons learned how to do budding to create the next generation of Decepticons. However, it wasn't as Primus intended to, and thus it created this sort of negative evil energy, and that of destruction, which created the Swarm. And the Swarm went around killing everything. And then Optimus Prime used the Matrix on it, and then it said, "Hey, wait a minute, we're destroying everything, particularly Earth. So let's go throughout the multiverse and protect the Earth." And then they became the Vok. So yes, the Vok in what essentially is the cartoon universe originated as a character or a concept in the Marvel universe that jumped universes. When was your birth? When was my birth? Like around 3 a.m. honestly, but August 16th, 1997, back when Yugoslavia still existed. Isn't Six Shot a Phase 6 on IDW? Yep. Why is Michael Bay still allowed to make Transform? Okay. What became of Waspinator after Beast Machines? I know he became Thrustinator in Japan, although I'm not sure that he might have come from a different universe and ended up in that universe. But I don't think much been said of him in post Beast Machines in the American universe. Cuz Cash. He died in peace with other Buglies. 2 hours. 2 hours. Primus, rest his spark. Not getting tired of me, are you? I have a storied concept where a human and Autobot are in essence split as they are symbiotic link, and the effects would be human, would be the most. Sounds pretty cool. Gundam versus Transformers. Who wins? Transformers can pilot themselves. Although it depends who's piloting the Gundam, because if you've got some sort of what is it? The freaking psychic people that can just stop time. Do you think the animation models in Beast Machines are creepy? Because yeah, they're a little creepy. Transformers broken mirror. What do you think of Megatronus, Solus, and Nexus being in a love triangle? Were they in a love triangle? I don't remember Nexus being involved in that. What do you... Ultra Magnus and More Than Meets the Eye cannot hold his liquor because as soon as he turned off his filter... Nobody can hold their liquor because if that filter goes off, then that's when it goes bad. What happens if Deadpool becomes the headmaster? I'm scared to oh crap. Do you plan on watching the whole Align Robots in Disguise? Yeah, I do. I plan to watch and read everything that I haven't already. Do the Transformers exist in the Marvel comics? If you mean like Earth 616, no. But in a Marvel comic, in Primex 4.0 Gamma and stuff like that, yeah. And people from that universe have ended up, at the very least, interacting with people from Earth 616, like Circuit Breaker and Death's Head. It's literally a fan made series. Is G2 Primex 9? It's G2. Generation 2, the comic, is in Primex 984.0 Gamma. Although there is a Generation 2 series that's just a clip show in Primex 94.17 Alpha, but the little clips they have in the opening bring in characters into that universe. Was Soundwave and Ramjet really a herald of Unicron? Is it true? RX 802 point whatever alpha Soundwave and related Soundwaves, yes. Ramjet, yes. It depends on which universe, though. I don't know which one you're thinking of. Or if Madcap, the white box and Deadpool. Who is your favorite Autobot and Decepticon Shattered Glass? Favorite Autobot, probably Optimus Prime. Favorite Decepticon, probably Megatron. Okay. Why does the Quintesson say in the Primax universe that they created Transformers, but they were descendants of They weren't the descendants of the 13 in that universe. They were created by Unicron. And they say they created them because they certainly had a role in creating them. They didn't really know how much they were being manipulated, though. Are primes born or created? Depends on the prime. Do Transformers have drugs? Yes. Ultraman with shoulders should have a comic. Yes. What are the Knights of Cybertron? Depends on which universe. The most well-known one from Primex 1009.15 Gamma, or 5.19 Gamma, are they were the people who succeeded the Guiding Hand in ruling Cybertron, and then left to spread the Golden Age. Is Megatron's mace related to Optimus's sword in any way? They seem to be evenly matched. It's just their weapon. I think there was a kid wearing a Spider-Man shirt in the G1 cartoon. Correct me if I'm wrong. Might be. Marvel Comics as a studio exists in a lot of universes, and Marvel had a role in the Sunbow shows, or Sunbow, however you pronounce it. Would you want a Transformers show where the death count and firefights between bots and cons was more like Real War, where beloved characters would die, no vehicles, no... Sort of. I'd put good storytelling over everything, though. Optimus Prime versus Sarah Jessica Parker. Okay. I prefer the designs in the Bay movies, to be honest. I like the complexity and how they have their own unique transfer. Yeah. They definitely have some good designs. Doesn't the Doctor technically exist in a TF... No, he doesn't exist in a Transformers universe, but he has made contact with Death's Head from a Transformers universe. Did you feel that Megatron becoming an Autobot idea was a good idea? Or is there no redemption for him no matter what version? Right now it seems to be being handled fine. Although I'm not liking how quick they're warming up to him. Because Megatron is pretty much worse than Hitler. And I doubt humanity would be so accepting of a so-called changed Hitler. Does Skyrim the Thundercracker exist in the movieverse? Yes. Who was your favorite version of Nemesis Prime? Incarnation from anything? The one from... I just talked about this, the one from Balancing Act. Alpha Seeker, what is Broken Mirror Story? Yes, I do know about that comic. Oh. I do know about that show. I know about the comic, the Transformers Prime comic. I have some scans of that. The problem is I can't really do much since I don't speak Russian. I kind of need a Russian translator. And I don't even have the entire series. But I do know about Transformers Portal. And I'm concerned about whether or not that's canon. Because it's really unclear. I've seen conflicting reports over whether or not Hasbro has licensed that or not. And if Hasbro has licensed that, that is canon. And I don't speak Russian. I speak Japanese. And I speak enough German to know the Transformers magazine thing that came out. But I don't do Russian at all. And I need someone to subtitle that. Has Victor Prime ever tried to save the other 13? I'm sure he has. Is there a universe where Waspinator and Starscream combine perfectly? And if so... yes, there is a universe where immediately after being destroyed and sent through space at the end of Beast Wars, Starscream went into another universe, knew exactly what was going to happen, possessed Waspinator, and basically essentially took over everything. I forget which universe that was, though. I forget what happened after that. But yeah, that was a interesting thing. Why is there such a large thing? Such a large distance between the scroll stuff. Who makes the best Decepticon leader besides Megatron? Probably Shockwave. I believe there was going to be a DC Comics and Transformers crossover. Can you say what? Yeah, IDW and DC were originally going to do a Justice League Transformers crossover. And it was supposed to be in the IDW universe. There just never was a good time to do it. And I think that's all we really know about it. What was the details from when Shockwave went mad while fleeing the Decepticons when Megatron was missing and presumed dead and Galvatron and other bots came from the future? I know time travel was... Oh, is that Time Wars? I haven't read much of the UK Marvel stuff because it hasn't been fully collected yet. So I'm still waiting for Roberts to get on collecting the entire UK series before I can look into that more. I feel like Bayverse Optimus is a war veteran who can't get some rest. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Japanese and North American series? But I have my own theory on that. That's not how continuity works. They're two separate universes. I want Nemesis Prime to be Scourge again. They're two different characters. Ack is dead. I'm confused because in Beast Wars, Primus exists on G1 cartoon quintessence. Read Transformers universe, people. The Quintessons were pretty much manipulated by Primus into creating the Transformers. I've said that like how many times during this stream? It's a comic. It's canon. Do you know any non-Transformers anime? And if so, which one appeals to you the most? Do you like any In the description, I think even in this description, there's a link to my anime list. And it has a list to every single anime I've ever watched. And they're ranked on the 1 to 10 scale. So if you look in the description, there's a complete list there. Which version of Scorponok is your favorite? Probably Energon Scorponok, to be honest. What are your worries for Transformers 5? There's a video titled My Worries for Transformers 5. Whenever I think of Shattered Glass Thundercracker, I say taste the rainbow. Hasbro. Hasbro did license it, yeah. Someone subtitled that already. Do you think they should add the black and green muscle car aspect of Lockdown and Age of Extinction? I think it's fine how he is. The universe hates Waspinator. Multiverse, yeah. It's more like, yeah, lol. I'm an atheist. You? That's a very direct question. Who would want to have leader of the Decepticons if Megatron was thrown out of the picture? What? Was it disappointing how Shockwave was using... Yeah, it was a little disappointing in Dark of the Moon. I'm a progressive. You? Why are you asking these direct questions? These are sort of... That's a little... I can talk about some views I have, but I'm not going to give myself a label online. Why didn't Unicron deceive Logos Prime and not just Megatronus? What? Unicron had nothing to do with Logos Prime. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. I see. Why didn't Megatron deceive? Because he never really got a chance to see Logos Prime. What did you think of the Transformers and Halo Cross? What do you think? It's unnecessary. Do you like Headmasters? Yeah. Tigertron. Oh. Why is Optimus and Ultra Magnus similar in all ways? Because one's a repaint. Have you ever been to a Transformers convention or a collector's con? I've been to TFCon Charlotte in 2015. That's what actually made me start this channel, because that was the first time I was around Transformer fandom, and I really wanted to contribute to the community. So really it was TFCon that started this all. Can you explain what happens in Transformers Cloud? Because I have little info for it. Basically, the creator created the Cloud world. I talked about this in an earlier Transformers lore video. And they watched over the multiverse. And then the Decepticons were pretty much left to their own underworld. And then Megatron's like, hey, let's start a war. And then they're basically fighting throughout the multiverse. Have you seen Legend of the Galactic Heroes? I have not. Bro, Transformers Cybertron. Oh, Daniel Atkins would have words for you. Do you think Bumblebee is going to get killed in TF5? Doubt it, since he has a movie in Transformers 6 that's going to be devoted entirely to him. Do you think that the animated version of Black Arachnia would have been redeemed somewhere down the line? I checked and I haven't found anything about her fate in the unproduced season. I think she could be redeemed, but from the plot points they talk about in Season 4, it looks like she's just going to become another antagonist with a Predacon army. Do you think the cons in movies should be more colorful for the sake of uniqueness? Maybe. Who else called it when Optimus Prime won Power of the Primes? Do you think Jazz should be in a Bumblebee prequel movie? That would be interesting. I can't think of anyone voicing Unicron than Orson Welles. Who's your favorite voice incarnation of the character? Of Unicron? Orson Welles. And hey, I've caught up. So I'll just chill here for a bit. Wait for more questions if there are any. How long have I been going for? 2 hours, okay. Who is your favorite Starscream incarnation? Armada. And if it's Unicron Julie, who is your second favorite? Ah, I see where you are. And if it's that one, who is your second favorite? Probably IDW. Rip Orson Welles. Is the stream healthy? Because mine's buffering. Now it has issues. Okay. Who is a better tank? Bludgeon, Brawl, Warpath, or Megatron? They're all tanks. I don't really know how to... We don't know the specifics of the tank to determine which one's a better tank. Any favorite voice actors? Scott McNeil, definitely. Peter Cullen, Frank Welker. Steve Blum, or Bloom, or however you say it. Weird Al. Gary Chalk. Oh, David Kaye. Oh boy. Best Megatron alt mode? I really don't have a preference of alt mode. If Primus has the Allspark as a spark, and Unicron has an anti-spark, when they are one, there are a lot of incorrect stuff in that statement, but pretty much they came from the one who was just everything at once. An anti-spark is just talking about the corruption of Unicron's spark. It's not like an actual thing. It's like a nickname. How many and who are the many characters Logos Prime was? Because I only know he was a version of Sound Blaster. He took on the alias of Sound Blaster for a while. So Warpath. Do you play Follow Cybertron or War for Cybertron or Devastation? I play Follow Cybertron and War for Cybertron. I haven't played Devastation. For a second stop, but yeah, you should check out Shadow Raiders. I like how Decepticons in the movie have less humanoid faces. It looks cool. If you go to Decepticon, what do you think of the 87 movie? Loved it. Bombshell or Scrapnel? Who do you like more? I don't particularly like any either. I don't particularly like any over the other. If Victor Prime has time travel powers, why can't he bring all the primes to finish off Unicron for different timelines? Because that's not how his time travel works. And he talks about in this Transformers Cybertron. The last one skipped when you read my last question. Can you answer it again? What was your last question, mate? What was your favorite? Armada Starscream and my second favorite IDW Starscream. Who's your favorite Beast Wars character? Dinobot. Who would you have voiced Prima? I don't know. Sounds like that would break space and time continuum. Yeah. Why did Primes leave Cybertron? To fight the Fallen. It depends on which Primes you're talking about, but if you're talking about the multiversal singular ones, to fight the Fallen on Earth, and then they became a tomb. And then they just popped up everywhere else, wherever they felt like it. Who's your favorite Transformers character of all time? Mine is Movie Skids. Okay. Levi Church, you have to rewatch that part of the stream. Who made Viper? I know he's a Decepticon Cobra. Viper? Are you talking about Serpent or? Because that was the main thing. What was your first... Oh, crap. What was your first reaction when hearing The Rock's voice go on Clip Show? I was like, yeah, this is The Rock's voice acting here. So I apologize for not being able to see Jazz. Okay, Jazz Black Divinization. Any Indian Transformers? None that I can think of, no. If you're saying Indian in the sense of Indian. Because exploration and expansion. What's one thing you love about Beast Wars? How it was the first Transformers cartoon that did a episodic series where continuity was important. What would Unicron do after he destroyed his brother and conquered the multiverse? Well, if Primus was ever fully destroyed, the universe would be destroyed. We see that with the Unicron singularity. Unicron's main goal is to just destroy everything. He doesn't want to conquer, he wants to destroy. So there would be nothing. Did you like Starscream Prime design? Yeah. I didn't like it at first, but it grew on me. Oh yeah, that would. What would you think energy tastes like? I don't know. What fembot would you want? Okay. When was the Dark Spark made? We don't know anything about the origin of the Dark Spark. We have Vector Prime has given a bunch of theories, but none of those are solid. We have no idea about the Dark Spark. We don't even know where it came from. Is Vector Prime and Cybertron the same as all other media? I've answered this question. Sometimes, depending on what time it is. Skids and Mudflap are hilarious. Oh boy, I'm so sorry for you. Indian Transformers, I see Robot Chicken. Could you explain how Primus is sustaining the universe? Don't know what you mean by sustaining. If Unicron destroyed everything, what would he do next? Die. he himself would die at the end of everything. Have you watched Dingo Crikey or the Raging Nations channel? Yeah, I've watched them both. Shame Dingo Crikey. Has Dingo Crikey came back yet? Oh boy, where was I? But yeah, I watched them both. On an earlier statement, I talked about a human and another being linked. I was Marvel with their symbiosis. You know, Transformers United made by Megatron 1000. I'm going to be the voice of Rumble. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've heard of that. Sorry for my question. Here we have a Skids and Mudflap hate party. What do you think of the arrival of the 4 or 5 bot combiners for robots in disguise like Galvatron's Minosaur, Ultra B? I haven't gone that deep yet. What was the betrayal Megatron said Starscream had suffered in War for Cybertron? I don't remember that quote. Wait, weren't Unicron and Primus organic beings? They were astral beings. Watch my lore series for that information. How canon is Ask Vector Prime? Just as canon as anything else. Everything is canon, guys. There isn't something that's more canon than others. Everything is canon. As long as it's licensed by Hasbro, or something licensed by Hasbro has brought it in, then it's canon. IDW Skids or Bayverse Skids? IDW Skids. Is that even a question? Yeah. Do you know what Cybertronian Spree is? Yes. When will this stream end? When we're out of questions. IDW Skids is way better. Do you have any Collectors Club toys? Nope. Cybertronian Spree is awesome. Okay. Now I'll just wait for some more. If you have any more. Usually we don't get this many people on a Primus Prime stream. This is the first time I've streamed in a while. And I think Primus Prime time has... We're not doing that anymore. I haven't had time to do that regularly. Doesn't that mean Battleship is canon? Nope. That's not how... If it's licensed by Hasbro to be in the Transformers multiverse, that's not how it works, mate. What are your thoughts on Transformers Animated? And are there any material beyond season... Yes, there are material beyond Season 3, and I love Transformers Animated. Primus and Unicron can take on any form in our universe, but they are astral energy at their core. Behind the voice actors, I've been cast as Ramos Miner from Transformers Project Research. Okay. I think I'm in contact with the dude who's creating Research. Yeah. Am I thinking of the same person? Hold up. Hopefully this... Is that the name of this dude? Or the name of the project this dude's doing? Let me do a little check. There's Alex who's talking to me about, Alexander, who's talking about... He keeps consulting me about ideas for his scripting. Is that Transformers Research? Yeah, Project Research. Yeah, he's in contact with me. I am a consultant, apparently, for plot. Why do Transformers speak English before they came to Earth? Usually if it's before they came to Earth, it's just because you can't write in Cybertronian. And it's to be implied that it's not... They're speaking Cybertronian, or whatever. Thank God. Well, Primus Prime stream is all I think about in life. Oh, boy. What's the most deadliest Transformer animal? I don't know. What's your favorite human character? Probably Verity Carlo. Technically, Battleship Galaxies is canon to Transformers via Unite E. Is it? But it's not like in the it could be Megaverse. In Unite E, a lot of stuff is just Megaverse, personally. There's no cluster we can assign to that. Everything is canon if you bring in the Omniverse and Megaverse. Do you think the One could be what we all refer to as a god or whatever entity you believe created anything? Well, he's a very passive one. I mean, he was surprised that the Big Bang happened. He was like, whoa, I didn't do this. What time is it for you? 10:24 p.m. 10:23, same. It's late. What two combiners do you want to combine from a rare combiner? I mean, I don't understand why the Autobots and the Bayverse look like robots and the Decepticons look like monsters. What do you think when Starscream became Screaming Head in both animated and... Animated is fine. Combiner Wars? Huh? What? Combiner Wars was a train wreck. The cartoon. 3:24 a.m. Have you guys considered sleeping? What caused the Big Bang in the TFUV-verse? Vector Prime was fighting Mogon the Mass, and basically Vector Prime defeated him by sending him back in time, which sparked the Big Bang. Wow, you are from the future. Hey, you didn't answer my question. Why you know this? What? Nope. Which humans from past incarnations would you bring together for a new TF continuity? I would have to think hard about that. Slate, what's that? At least we can all agree that Combiner Wars cartoons. Yeah. Would you want another High Moon Studio games? You see, the problem with that is High Moon Studios doesn't exist anymore. How strong is the connection with humans and Cybertronians? Honestly, depends on the universe. Sometimes it's too strong. Are the Seekers really bros in IDW? Yeah, they're brothers in Primex 1005.19 Gamma. Do I have a Masterpiece toy? And so which ones? I don't know if you have a Masterpiece toy, man. If I have one, I have 25th Anniversary Optimus Prime, which was like the precursor to the Masterpieces. It's in bad shape because I got it when I was real young. Perceptor or Shockwave? Who's the better scientist? Well, Animated Perceptor ended the war. In Animated. He was the one who like made the decisive thing. And the Shockwave was just a spy. But, you know, it depends on which one. Calm down here. I ignore questions that are hypothetical. Purely hypothetical. How would you feel if Paramount tried to do Beast Wars live action LMAO? That would be weird. Kiss Players. XC, kill me. What 5 Decepticons or Autobots would you want to be a combiner? Okay. Are Prowl serious about taking a sabbatical along with Alert Fortress Maximus, or is just staying tight for his next scheme? That's a good question. We'll have to see for that. Find out in Transformers. I don't know. I want to say, do you have a Master? Yeah, I have 25th Anniversary, which is a precursor. Animated Megatron or Transformers Prime Megatron? As far as which one I like best, I really like Animated Megatron. I like both, but Animated Megatron has that voice. Is there a universe where Transformers don't go to Earth? Yes. Yes. I'm sure there is. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Yeah, there are. There are ones that have been destroyed by Unicron before they got the chance to go to Earth. No way, that one did go to Earth. Combiner Wars, they don't say that they went to Earth. How do TF see in their alt modes? I would assume through sensors. One universe, they see through their headlights. Their headlights are like straight up eyes. How do you feel about the live-action Transformers movie? They're cool. What do you think about Diamond Bolt's channel? I have a lot of feelings about Diamond Bolt's channel. Overall, I'm glad that there's a channel that's covering different stuff beyond the toys. But some of this stuff, there's only so many times you can say, lol, Kiss Players is bad, guys, am I right? But no, according to his last video, he's going in a direction that I look forward to seeing. I watch your videos on Beast Wars Uprising revolving around Rampage and Transmutate. If that comic was a prequel, wouldn't they both have already known each other? That's a different universe. That's not completely different universe. If Animated Ultra Prime became the Magnus of Cybertron, then how did Optimus end up being the leader? Optimus never really ended up being the leader. He stayed as a Prime, which in that universe isn't a supreme leader status. I learned the most strange fact about Primus Prime 22. He's an odd man. Is it bad that I don't know which strange fact you're referring to? Okay. How far is Cybertron from Earth? It depends. Sometimes this is a completely different galaxy or solar system. Sometimes it's in the solar system, or at least close enough to fly to it. Any universe where someone succeeded Rodimus and not revert back to Optimus? Fortress Maximus in the Japanese universe. I'm sure a few others. Favorite Decepticon combiner team? Combaticons. Animated Megatron is the best one due to him being the only one who killed Starscream. Beast Wars Uprising is in a prequel. It's an AU. How come I can't get a Dick Impossible? Is animated Toxitron considered a version of Nemesis Prime but green and a bit crazy? Toxitron is considered Toxitron. Alright. I would like to see a take on Transformers solely from a human perspective. Them working with the Autobots and learning their lore and that sounds pretty cool. What's the origin of Dark Energon? It's the blood of Unicron. Would you see a live action Kiss Players directed by Bay? Directed by Bay will ruin it, but directed by Bay would ruin it. What do you think of Transformer toy review channels? I think it's oversaturated, but I understand their purpose. Does Vector Prime's sword have a name? Rizzling. It's spelled weird. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's Rizzling. Have you ever watched Reboot? No. What was the name of the entity when Primus and Unicron... Oh god, the stream just lagged on my most terrible face ever. I am so sorry about that. What was the name of the entity when Primus and Unicron all won? Unicron. Unicron was Unicron before the one ripped Primus out of him. Do you think that killing Bumblebee in The Last Night would be a good move? And that would be more memorable and Bumblebee would be more respected? Guys, Transformers 6 is going to be just about Bumblebee. Bumblebee's not going to die in Transformers 5. What if Grimlock became a Prime? He'd be a Prime. And the stream's still lagging. Okay. There was a big jump, wasn't there? Okay, whatever. What if Grimlock became a Prime? He'd be a Prime. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, nope, nope. Has there ever been a version of Soundwave not loyal or ever gone Starscream? What? Soundwave is not... IDW Soundwave started off a little bit not loyal, but then they sort of threw that characterization out the window. But now he doesn't like Megatron, so it depends on how you look at it. Do you have Netflix? I do have Netflix. Where are you from, my man? North Carolina? Who, in your opinion, is the best Decepticon minicon? I don't know many Decepticon minicons. Maybe Inferno. Thrust's minicon. Or Hulu? I just have Netflix. I only recently got Netflix. Yeah, stream got buffering a little bit. What's your favorite Diamond Bolt video? I don't particularly have one. Yeah, I got issues. Who's better, Galvatronus or Optimus? I like Galvatronus better. Got a real lag. Galvatronus, isn't that good? Audio cut for me. Oh, what does it keep jumping out? What's the worst thing about Transformers fandom as a whole? Ignorance. Straight ignorance. How they'll fight you over things that you even if there's evidence in the canon that goes against their argument, they'll still argue it. They'll say things that's not canon because it's terrible. That's not how canon works. Basically, there are not enough Transformer fans that actually know Transformers in the sense of the fiction. That's my one thing. That's why Primus Prime exists, to fix that. Why did the DJD never go after Starscream? That's a good question. Have they ever addressed that? They probably should. No, you missed my Bumblebee question. You asked about him dying and they wouldn't... No. Transformers 6 is going to be about Bumblebee. Who is the strongest Megatron out of the Unicron trilogies? Probably Galvatron by the end of Cybertron because he just steadily gets more power as it goes. Matrix or Origin other than G1? Matrix... What? Matrix Origin. Well, there's many matrices, I guess is the plural. The first one was created by Primus. He etched the Primal program onto the crystal, gave it a container, gave it to Prima, then sort of forgot about Prima, made the Origin Matrix for... Prima, not Prima. Made the Origin Matrix for Prima in the same fashion, but then Liege Maximo just killed Prima and then took the Matrix, the original Matrix. And all of them sort of have a similar fashion. It seems Primus really likes giving his representative a Matrix. But yeah. What is the current state of IDW Soundwave? He's currently working with Optimus Prime on the Earth government. Bumblebee still don't have a voice. Okay. Do you watch Stranger Things? Nope. Dead. What's the worst Bay Transformer? Maybe Skids and Mudflap. I know that's 2, but what's the best thing about the Transformers fandom? And this is only a certain fragment of the Transformers fandom, but they can be very welcoming. Specifically the Tumblr group for Transformers. They tend to be very welcoming to new people, very kind to each other. Yeah. No, you don't see that on other places, but especially on Tumblr, very welcoming. I wonder what would happen if Primus found a human to be more interesting enough to turn them into an Autobot. Isn't Bumblebee movie going to be a prequel spin-off on Nope, it's going to be Transformers 6. Michael Vickers, can you show us your MP10 Prime? He's very almost dead. I showed him in one of my Q&A videos. You can see him there. What do you think of the strongest Optimus Prime video? I don't know what you're talking about. Who's your favorite Unicron hero, like Galvatron, Cyclonus, Nemesis Prime? Sideways. How overpowered will be Prime if he gets a lantern ring? A little. But a ring has its own drawbacks. Who's better, Baron Karza or Ironblade? The ones that look exactly the same? The 2 black bucket heads? Seeing as we've seen more Baron Karza, I'm going to have to go with Karza. Ironblood sort of was there, then ran away in Revolutionaries. I heard Barricade and Swift is Conjux Endura. Is that true? Has that happened yet? If not, they're certainly on the road to it. I don't remember. Could be. I'd have to check. Has any Autobot become a herald for Unicron? Yes. Depending on your definition of herald. There have been Optimus Prime heralds that usually are just called Nemesis Prime. What's another good example? I can't think of any good examples. But there are. How is Sideways in Dark of the Moon? He is not in Dark of the Moon. Am I giving any interesting questions in stream? I'll go. From what I've seen, yeah. If I remember right. Diamond Bolt, I haven't seen that. Same here. 2 black bucket heads. That would make a great band name. Excellent. Is Hot Rod / Rodimus Prime worth all the hate he gets? I don't think he's so. Most of the hate he gets really just comes from angry former kids from the 1986 movie. I think he's fine. Do you ever look at Iron Fist and think, that is me? Iron Fist? Oh, I thought the Marvel Iron Fist for a second. Yeah, that was, yeah. His little obsession with the Wreckers. Yeah. So, yeah. Alright, we good on questions? Yeah, Sideways in Dark of the Moon. He was being one of the many cons. But they probably just used his body for a death scene. They used a lot of them. Constructicons, that's excusable because they're a race. Or rather a subspecies, whatever the definition is. But like there's been Bone Crusher has his model used over in Revenge of the Fallen. I wouldn't really consider that a proper Sideways appearance. As is Brawl with drones that look like him. Who will fight Mechagodzilla or Triptychon? Stop giving me these fighting. Did Pharma die in IDW Comics? He got his face blown off, but then taken away into that portal. So it's really hard to... It's up in the air what Farmer is doing right now. We've seen predictions in the future. He's going to be back. Just right now, the evidence points to him being dead, but he's going to be back. What did you think of Armada Overload? He had a sad story. If you look at his actual history outside the show, a very sad story. But he's sort of just a joke in the show because he just pops up. But with the stuff Ask Vector Prime added in the toy bios, it's good. What's the best thing about the Transformers fandom as a whole? Not the same question as the last. That might have been when it cut out, but just the welcoming stuff. What you drink? Water. Are the Combaticons brothers or very close together? They're not related. At least none that come to mind. Is Mega Octane and Octane separate people? Yes. Yes. What happened to Ravage in IDW? Killed by the DJD. I admit I may have missed something, but what did you think of All Hail Optimus storyline? How Galvatron was a predator? I like that storyline. I need to reread it. I loved how Optimus killed Galvatron, and I wish they worked more on the implications of that scene. Do you think Transformers can reproduce, as in how... It's not that I think, it's that they do. There's a video on that I have. And they can even have children with humans. If Brawn and CoverGirl are they're a shining example of that. I'm just seeing myself drink on this stream. I have a weird drinking movement. Can a Transformer go back to its original form? Probably, depending on what you define as form. Chad's lagging for me. Wait, which versions? What is happening? Oh, biologically, Transformers are generally the same. Never mind anymore. That's porn. Okay. What do you think about Starscream's high heels in Transformers 1? I love them. Who was your favorite minicon in any continuity? This is going to be real specific, but there's a minicon called Fletch that turns into this like double laser tank. He's a repaint of a green version. He's my favorite because I had him as a child. I think he showed up in like one scene in the background of Transformers Armada. And the Combaticons ever died except Swindle. I mean, he might go solo. Is Sorry the closest thing we've ever gone to a Transformers human hybrid, or am I reading that? She's not necessarily a human hybrid. She's really just Transformer. That's been raised on Earth. As for Transformer human hybrids, CoverGirl and Bronze Child is an example of that. When transforming, do Transformers move individual parts consciously, or do they say flex their conversion cogs? That's a good question. It seems to be a mix, actually. Sometimes it looks like they can do it, but really the transformation cog flex seems to be the overarching general thing. Do you own a copy of The Touch by Stan Bush? Yes, I own a copy of the movie soundtrack. Which one is your favorite Transformers series? The IDW comics. I meant in your comment about Brawn and the other one. Where is this? Transformers versus G.I. Joe. Is there a universe where Starscream had a girlfriend? There's definitely universes where he's hitted on a female Transformer. Well, the Wings universe had what's-her-face, Lysak? But I don't think anyone is in a proper relationship. What I mean is they can go back to the original one. They can remove their vehicle form. Can they remove their vehicle forms from their body? Do you mean scan a different body? Because they can always scan a new body. Do the IDW Combaticons miss Swindle, or are they glad he's gone? At the very least, they want to know what happened to him, but we don't really know if they want to know what happened to him because they missed him or because they want to have a coup against Starscream. Would you put an Autobot or Decepticon symbol on your car? I don't like stickers on cars. I probably wouldn't put anything on it. Buy my mixtape? No. Gotta go. Good night, all. Good night. What seems the fate of most primes are to become corrupt? What do you think? Most primes in general, yes. Especially with more modern Transformer stuff. Is there any variation biologically between Decepticon and Autobot? The question is asked because my Transformer shows have said... It depends on which series, which universe. Some, no. Others, yes. Depends on the universe. Favorite... Oh, please don't use that thing. I thought I had that word blacklisted. Maybe Victory and Prime. Is Trailbreaker and Trail Cutter different characters? No. Hi. Would you side with Autobots or Decepticons? Depends on the universe. Was Nemesis in Armada a puppet of, or was side with? He was a different being, but it's still very confusing. There's a page on him on the Oracle to find out more. I know you're probably tired of hypothetical questions. Okay. That's no hypothetical questions. Has there been a Transformer that has encountered the DJS, and was it Megatron that survived? The Scavengers, and the people on the people who were in the Dying of the Light, and Transformers. How did Frenchie sustain himself when he separated with his spark and was decapitated? We don't necessarily know if his spark was stored in his chest. It could have been in the head. Sparks aren't always in the chest. A lot of times they're in the shoulder, actually. But he could... The problem was still in his head. It's probably in his head, come to think of it. Sideways, not Jim. How do you... Okay. Who is your favorite voice actor in anything ever? Not just Transformers, but the one he or she could be in. I really like Scott McNeil, and he's in Transformers too, but I really like him in general. I also like Ria Kugamiya, just because I tend to like shows she voices in. What's the point of Rossum's Trinity when there are monoformers? Do they have conversion cogs? Rossum's Trinity... That's a good question. TF cogs haven't usually been considered a vital organ. So I don't... Besides the statement that Rossum's Trinity exists, it doesn't really make sense with a Transformers cog. Maybe it can be surgically removed properly, but if you take damage to it, it could be fatal, but I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if there's any anecdote for that. Can a headmaster have a headmaster? Yes, Fortress Maximus. Has the Dinobot Slash appeared in any story yet? I don't remember which one Slash is. Headmasterception. Do you have any other channels, and what do you do with them? I have Primus Prime, where I do anything that wouldn't necessarily fit on this channel, and it can be anything from a test video to Let's Plays to music videos. The link is in the description. I'm also part of a collaboration channel, a Let's Play channel called Lazy Koalas. That's links in the description, where me and some other of my friends play video games. So go check that out. Plug. What's your favorite Prime out of the 13 original Primes? Please answer. Vector Prime, probably. So what Transformers buy my... I don't know. And a reminder, there is a primusprime22 Discord invite link in the description. Anybody can join. Thanks, Laz. You mean like Fort Max? Yeah. Who was Universe Ramjet Herald from Reformat from? He was just Ramjet. How do you feel about Tarn's real identity in the IDW universe? Came out of nowhere. Pretty anticlimactic. Have you been a voice actor that was in Transformers? Personally, like as in talk to them one-on-one, no. The only person involved in Transformers that I have in person talked to one-on-one was Flint Dilley. Which I consider a big honor. Oh man, shout out Central. Shout out. Who's more crazy? Pharma, the Insane Automatic, or Galvatron, probably Galvatron, honestly. Vector Prime, heck yeah. What is Discord? Alright. That's best to find out by yourself. Is there any voice actor who hasn't starred in Transformers series that you would feel would work? I don't know. I'm not good at voice direction. What's your opinion on IDW having all the primes before Optimus being corrupt and militant? Personally, I think it's convoluted and it's just being dark for the sake of it. You've asked me that question before. I think it's just more realistic. Have there been a combination of Transformers with more than 2 gimmicks? A headmaster that can combine, or a triple-changing target master? Yeah. Like, there's been, like, Monstructor, the Pretender combiner. What's your least favorite member of the 13 original primes? Probably the ones they just don't do anything with, like Alchemist Prime. Well, that's McAdam. Amalgamous Prime is sort of, they don't do anything with him. Well, my favorite 13 is Lead Maximo. Can you give me a shout out? I've said your name before. Who's Primus Prime? What's your favorite interpretation of Alpha Trion? The universal singular one. The one that's Solomus and sometimes Alpha Trion. I meant any voice actors you know that could play in a Transformers series. Yeah, I don't know. Can you explain who Terminus is in IDW continuity? He's a miner that worked with Megatron. Helped him with his writings before the war. Can a Transformer Titan combine with another Titan? We have not seen that yet. But knowing Transformers, that could happen at any point. Which Galvatron do you prefer? The one that was reformed from Megatron, or the one who was his own character in the IDW universe? Personally, I prefer the Megatron one, just because he has more of a history. And the more continuity you have, the more I like you, basically. I have to go. Goodbye. I asked my next question already, but I didn't hear the answer. Sorry. What was the question? Can you give my friend Optimus Gaming Productions a shout out? What would Soundwave role be in canceled Transformers Animated Season 4? I don't think they even talked about him going to be in there much. Maybe they was going to talk about him being recruited to the main Decepticons. Um, what would be sound? Okay, got any ideas for Transformers series Primus Prime? None that wouldn't take too much time. Will your YouTube channel expand to non-Transformers content? Primus Prime will. Primus Prime 22 is strictly Transformers Multiverse comic, which includes G.I. Joe, Jim and the Holograms, Brave X Kaiser, anything in there. In the comics, Roadbuster gets killed by Tarantulas. How does Roadbuster come back? He doesn't. He's still dead. Right? Hey, did you ask me a question why you do this? What? Can you be Transformers? What side would you be in? Depends on which universe. Which alt mode? Star Destroyer. The worst Transformers Combiners toy line is Power Core Combiners. Power Core Combiners was pretty weak, yeah. Is Vector Prime one character who changes his appearance? Or alright, this is like the... Alright. Vector Prime started off as a multiversal singular character. Then there was the Union Vector Prime. Then there were two. One just in the Union cluster and one in the multiverse. Then they merged into one character. And then when the Shroud happened, they stopped being a multiversal singular character. Is there a Transformers animated Shattered Glass universe? Yes. Which Transformers series do you like the most first and least second? I've answered this. I like Prime best, G1 least. So it's G1 and G.I. Joe All American Hero set in the same universe, which makes sense from... do you think it should happen? With the current G.I. Joe movie series, no. Because there have been precedents shown in the Michael Bay universe, in Tyrant 707.25 or 4 Delta. Obama, George Bush, we've seen those presidents. The presidents in the G.I. Joe television movie series have been completely fictional. They don't work if they try to put them together. Oh yeah, I'm not shouting anybody out. Unless I personally know them. Is there a Grim Reaper of the Transformers universe? The Necrobot to some extent. Satan. What? The Necrobot goes around writing the names of everyone who's died. Until he brings them out of time. Sorry for repeating, it's just that I don't think you answered the first time. I was like, I'm gonna be... Could you go into depth about the Shroud multimeter Unity stuff? Please go into in-depth. Originally, there was a multiverse. You had all the different shows, comics, toy bios, everything fit into the multiverse. Then Hasbro decided, let's just no longer do anything involving the multiverse. Let's just do the aligned universe. So they did Transformers Prime, War for Cybertron, and that stuff, all meant to be in the same universe. And they wanted to work with Unicron, Primus, all that stuff without having to deal with the main multiverse, where you had multiverse singularities like Unicron, Primus, and the 13, who were the same character in every universe. They had a common history. And they didn't want to have to reference that history, didn't want to deal with that history. So they made their separate universe. Continuity-wise, in-universe-wise, the Union cluster is the aligned universe that sort of came with a barrier with the multiverse. When Transformers Rise of the Darkspark happened, the Darkspark punctured the multiversal barrier, and that merged Union with the rest of the multiverse. And so all the multiversal singularity characters sort of merged into the same character. So they had two histories, but were one character. And then, later on, eventually, the Shattered Glass universe invaded the Classics verse, which is a sequel to the Marvel universe, and Nexus Prime said, we can't have people crossing over anymore, this is getting too destructive. So he took the Terminus Blade, which is one of the artifacts of the 13, and basically punctured the entire multiverse. He also used the Star Saber with this, and made it so that there was a shroud that buried the multiverse so travel couldn't happen anymore. Also, all the multiversal singularity characters broke apart and are no longer singular, and now they're... Every time you see them after 2015, October 2015 when that happened, they're completely new characters. This. If you were a combiner, what would you... I'm not answering that question. Do you think the Elder Gods have a natural enemy? No, they don't fear anything. They're like the big bad. They don't have to deal with anything. Are the Covenant Transformers, how are they different from Cybertron? They're different because they aren't from Cybertron. And also, I'm not sure if they transform or not. They can transform. Sandstorm / Scorpius became a transformer. But they're not necessarily... They were created before Unicron transformed, so they originally couldn't transform, but they later could. Don't we live in a quad wall universe? Yes. Do you think Soundwave will be in Titans Return series sequel to Combiner Wars? I don't know. Or Cluster. I don't get Alpha. Cluster is a group of continuity families. Where was I could be wrong, but didn't the Necrobot die? Yes. Where did you learn that stuff with my last question in regards to the multiverse and the Shroud? Reading. They talk about it a lot in the comics, the Collectors Club comics in particular, and 3H comics. That's where the main Transformers story is. If you've watched every single TV show, you don't know the main plot of Transformers. If you've read every single retail comic, you might know a little bit more, but you still won't get the general grasp of it. It's in really the club fiction and related stuff to that where they actually tell you the real plot of Transformers. Do you prefer the idea of the Covenant of Primus continuity where the Cybertronians, sorry if I'm wrong, are born from the planet itself, or do you prefer the movie explanation? They're all in one multiverse. Everything relates to each other in some way. I don't recognize those as different things, just different branches on the same tree, I guess you could say it. Do Transformers go to the bathroom? I would say no, but they do have functions that mimic that. Could anyone stand up to the Elder Gods? No one could, no. Especially not in Transwarp space. Now, within a universe, within the borders of any universe, they would stand a better chance. Any favorite classical fiction? Define classical. What don't you think about Transformers or how I have a French accent? I don't know. I don't care. People could also read the TF Wiki, except the TF... Okay. Hot Rod would be French. How do I acquire club comics? Theoretically, you'd have to join the club, but I have my sources, aka a friend, where I have to do a lot of stuff. I still haven't read issues 71 through whatever the most recent one is, and that has animated stuff in it that I want to read. A lot of my days are also spent scanning stuff. I don't distribute it, though. The scanning stuff is just for my future reference and for videos. I don't distribute. That's piracy. And the club's about to end anyway. Usually you just have to find out like eBay and stuff like that. Did the Guiding Hand in the war with Mortalis happen before the creation of the 13? It happened after the 13. If it happened at all. Because we still haven't got a full confirmation that what we saw that Cyclonus said was what exactly happened. Or you can pirate it. Okay, Adkins. Remember my piracy speech I gave? What is your most favorite non-Transformers series? Probably some anime. What are the Elder Gods? The creatures that live in Transwarp. They're basically what inspired, in the multiverse, what inspired Lovecraft's, like, Cthulhu and that stuff. They're the ultimate things that could just rip apart any reality they chose. Do Transformers have their own force? Yes, they do. They're heralds of Unicron. That's a good example of Autobot heralds. Rhinox. Was Pterosaur one? I forget their names. But yeah. Was Breakdown ever a Senticon in Prime? Because of... they might have referred to him as a Senticon, but I don't remember. Since they were made of the same... I don't think that makes them brothers, though. Who created the One? No one created the One. The One just is. Who created God? Ask Christians that. It's the same thing. This is just where the beginning is. Transformers, even though it's science fiction, it's also high fantasy. And you can't just keep on asking who created what. Classical literature written in the early... I like, what's it called? Notes from Underground. That's who made God. Yeah, see. Who's better, Soundwave or Sound Blaster? They're the same person most of the time. Are there any characters in any continuity that make continuity a mess? The one that comes to mind is Sideways. But it's not that he makes continuity a mess. It's that trying to find out how he experienced time is very hard to do. Won't be Pete on Seymour Simmons. Is this not... I think it's just mimicry, yeah. It was fun. Till next time, thanks for answering my questions, primusprime22. You're welcome. Do you like Lord of the Rings? Never seen Lord of the Rings. Oh, well. put that down. Okay. Never seen Lord of the Rings, never seen The Hobbit, never read The Hobbit, never read Lord of the Rings. Never done anything with that stuff. Alright. What do you think of Blaster? He's cool. Okay, so I can see the questions are winding down. So, is the one supposed to be an indirect Christian-like God? I don't think so, no. When I think of an allegory to a Christian God, I think of one that's omnipotent and creates. The one sort of just sat there and then was like, oh, when the Big Bang happened, and then said, oh, what's going on here? And then sent out Unicron to explore. Saw Unicron started to destroy stuff, sort of started to split them off, and then said, okay, they're fighting now, whatever. The one sort of just chills and lays back. The one doesn't. If he's an allegory to an Abrahamic God, then it's a poor allegory, I think. You're missing some nerd cred, PP. Please don't call me PP. That's a terrible acronym. But yes, I have never seen Lord of the Rings. Did Wild Rider died in IDW because of Off-Road replacing him as Minosaur left leg? I don't remember. I don't keep track of like minor characters like that. I don't know. Did he? I don't remember. Any human characters you like? Verity Carlo. Primus Prime, you're my favorite YouTuber that explains the multiverse and probably the only one which is YouTube. It pains me to tell you I have to go, so got to go. Bye. Bye. Have a good day. What more precisely are transtechs? Inhabitants of Axiom Nexus who observe the multiverse. They've never had a war, and they get a little elitist because of that. They're really where we get a lot of... In-universe, they're really where we get a lot of multiverse information. Yo, PP, you going to Oak City Comic Con? Where's Oak City? I have very limited mobility. I don't own a car. I don't own a license. That's why Charlotte was what worked for me. I looked up Oak Mobility. Am I stupid? Oak City. The farther it is from the Charlotte area, the more... Wait, I recognize that. Hold up. I recognize that road. Is that the same road I know? Where is this? Oh, that's pretty close. Oh, that says Oak City Marketing, not Oak City. Let's see what... It keeps going to Oak City Marketing. Is that Oak City Marketing? If so, that seems pretty close. I'll have to see when that is. What will happen if a Transformer died in vehicle form, and does that vehicle form work normally or it doesn't work? I think it has, if it's intact, I think no. I was thinking breakdown. He was conscious. The vehicle might still work if you're, because Spring Arch worked and he was dead. And he was in vehicle mode. Do you like Dragon Ball Z? Never really saw Dragon Ball Z. Would you want one continuity? Nope. What got you into Transformers? Dragon Ball Z. Okay, I'm gonna do a long video on that. Not a long. I'm gonna have to do a full video on what got me into Transformers. It's a long story that involves a lot of different cogs and gears. It's the one basically a lazy god that doesn't care about what Unicron did. No, he cared. He just wanted to continue living. He wanted there to be a universe, a reality that he could exist in. So that's why he had Primus fight him. But really, he wants there to be a balance. So he just wants existence to persist. Would you agree that Transformers Cybertron's the Dragon Ball Z of Transformers? I don't know. If you could make a universal cluster, what would you call it? I don't know. Do you believe in the God of Abraham? Hey, it's you again. You were asking me those very direct questions. Well, I must go, but fun chatting with you. Hope to collaborate with you soon, starting with a video chat. I'll private message you soon. Have a good night. All right. Who is your favorite combiner limb characters like Swindle, Streetwise, and Breakdown? The limbs on Bruticus, really. Do you intend to make videos to teach all about the history, about the multiverse route, etc.? Yeah. How did Megatron trick Vector Prime to giving him the map in the first episode of Cybertron? By saying that the Autobots are evil and the Decepticons were good, pretty much. Vector Prime has stated, and through Q&As, that the memories of them can go bad at random points. And Oak City is in Raleigh. That's too far. I'm looking at Oak City marketing. Yeah, Raleigh's too far. But yeah, he pretty much simply forgot about the whole Autobot-Decepticon war thing. He also didn't really know much about the Autobot-Decepticon. Strangely enough, in the same comic that states that he didn't know much about the Autobot-Decepticon war when he came there, he saw that they were factions. He was still going around the multiverse and in time, fixing stuff from the Autobot-Decepticon war. So it's very confusing. It's getting late. I got stuff to do. Hit the hay. Nice talking to you. Have a good evening. Tell me now. What now? Are you a fan of Godzilla? PP? Why? Don't call me PP. I haven't seen much Godzilla now. Could other Transformers transform into another Transformers that we do with our toys? Could other Transformers transform another Transformer? Yeah, we see a little bit of that done, yeah. I love your lores. Thanks. I have an idea that the Omniverse has certain links and passages ways that could link with other. Do you think it could work? I mean, the Omniverse, anything goes. Does Primus have his own heralds? Or are Primus basically his heralds? And Primes are sort of basically his heralds, although at some point Primes usually forget Primus exists. Also, they're called Children of Primus. Whenever Primus usually directly recruits someone. Those were really used in the Universe War. If Primo was reborn as Optimus, how are the 13 Primes of the first to last? Primo wasn't reborn as Optimus. If there is a true unity, like Hasbro pulled their suit together with an aligned continuity, even with IDW and stuff, would you be pleased? I would be pleased if they got their lore together on the multiverse, not just like one universe, but like actually did a whole multiverse thing that made everything connected and made better sense. I'd be happy. Primus, sorry, I called you PP. Was Unicron a nice god of destruction, of creation, maybe? Unicron is a god of chaos, and in Shattered Glass, they take that to mean diversity, meaning different points of views, different ways of life. Primus, as the god of order in Shattered Glass, wants to make everyone the same, and will fight to make everyone under his rule. Hey, PP, you read TF Wiki before? How long is Cybertronian Live Cyclo? What? PP, do you know of Warhammer 40k? And I've heard of Warhammer 40k, never looked into it. Have you seen Da-Da-Da-Da? I watched the first 5 episodes and stopped. I just couldn't. It was boring to me. Do you watch Doctor Who? No. What's someone ever done? What about PP22? No. When I'm talking in Japanese, I say pizza because Primus Prime ni is a little long. So I just use pizza. Do you like Transformers Prime? Yes. And do you watch Sherlock? No. Alright. I'm sure you guys could ask questions forever. We've gone for 3 hours. I think we're going to call it here. Thank you guys so much for coming out. This is the most turnout I've ever had. What is your real name? primusprime22. And, yeah. So, well, was there ever a nice Nemesis Prime? No, not in Shattered Glass. So yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out. I hope you enjoyed. I've enjoyed. And yeah. So, follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord. Follow me on Tumblr. Check out Primus Prime. Check out Lazy Koalas. Yeah. How about Prim Prim? No, not Prim Prim. I earned the right to mock PP through over a year of knowing him. No, you don't have the right to call me PP. No problem. Good night, everyone. Have a good time. It's winding down. Alright, thanks, guys. So, subscribe if you'd like to, and have a good day, ladies and gentlemen. And here's the awkward part where I look for OBS to stop the stream. There we go.